What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fish and Grits Live. As always, I am Ryan Dollar, joined by my wonderful co-hosts. Marco, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm great.
Doing good. Feeling
Feeling
good.
good. Feeling great. Oh,
Micah, how are we doing, sir?
I am doing fairly well.
Today is Thursday, April 22nd, 2021. Today is episode 50, gentlemen. 50 episodes.
5-0.
Actually, if you don't count our post-game reports, it's episode 50. If you count those in, we're probably 60s-ish so far. I would say 60 to 65, somewhere in there.
60s. I don't know if we're at 60 yet.
With the
'Cause we've
post-game
had,
reports
what?
included?
8 post games. Y'all had the 2 film breakdowns that weren't counted
Oh, yeah.
against our total.
That's true. So we're in the 50s
Well,
and
and I
60s.
mean, and we counted the interview the other night. So
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely definitely an episode. I mean, it was an interview, but it wasn't.
Yeah, we're officially at 50.
Yeah.
It's cool. 50.
So let's start
50 large.
episode 50 off with a giant fuck you to Brett Favre. This man has gone and done it again. I don't know where my notes went because they were definitely in there a second ago. But he ran off and said, dang it, what was it, Micah? What did he say? That threw me off now that my notes are gone.
oh yeah, he basically said that Chauvin didn't mean to kill
That's right.
George Floyd, but
just went a little too far.
he just went too far. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's on the heels of him saying essentially the NFL equivalent of shut up and dribble to Deshaun Watson. He also said that he wishes politics would not be involved in sports, which is a common phrase used by those who are on the right.
He said what he wished what wouldn't be a part
I
of
just
sport?
wish politics wouldn't be
Politics,
involved
yeah.
in sports.
But then he always gives political takes. It's he's the one always coming out here sticking his foot in his mouth. Like Brett Favre, first of all, no one's thinking about you, bro. And you're one
he
Super
wants
Bowl.
us to, though.
All right, you were succinctly replaced by someone better, and everybody forgot about you.
Real
And
quick.
second of all, he's like the fact is that he's out here on a podcast, right, with somebody. I forget who it is, but the fact that he comes out here and says such cringy things, and like whoever's doing the podcast with him isn't like, hey Brett, just chill out. You're losing us listeners by the second.
I mean, honestly, well, are they though? Like, what is it? Any press is good press. So I mean, like, people are gonna be like, "Who's this podcast?"
I don't know about that press though, because I feel like when you're someone like Brett Favre and you're already at the top of the mound and like literally just like saying anything will go viral. I feel like in that case, good and not any press is good press, because you become a figure that everybody already knows. So it's either just do I like you or do I not like you, and at that point,
Hypothetically speaking, Brett Favre comes on Fish and Grits. He says some wild shit like that. Like, that's not going to be a representation of us, but like, it's going to get us some clicks for sure. I get
right,
what you're saying.
if we invited him after that episode to be a member of the show,
Is that what happened?
he's on it's called Bowling with Favre. When Brett Favre and Eric Bowling get behind the mics, expect anything, covering sports, politics, blah blah blah.
He's like, what's that one guy? That's Giants pitcher.
Aubrey
Third
Huff,
baseman.
but
Yeah,
Aubrey Huff. Yeah.
Oh my God, Aubrey Huff is so fucking annoying. But yeah, like Brett Favre has really gone from like really likable quarterback that, you know, he was just a little country. He liked to play football. He threw the ball really hard. To
War Wranglers.
yeah, right. War
Yeah, well, I
Wranglers.
mean,
Dick pics.
he played the game. He played the game like a child, where he was always always had fun, and that's why people loved Brett Favre.
And now he's just become this big cringe, like talking head. Not even like a talking head because he's not on there a lot. He's on a podcast.
Do you think Phillip Rivers in 10 years is going to take Brett Favre's place as the cringy old quarterback?
No, just because Phillip Rivers doesn't even curse.
Dag nammit. Fling it. Fling it.
Oh.
Nah. I'll say the same thing I sent to y'all in the chat. Remind me of a Chappelle show. It's like, if you don't grasp the full weight of what you said, you just need to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Honestly, just like Brett. Cut it out, man. Cut it out. But speaking of his comments on Derek Chauvin, we got some great news this past week. On 4/20, the Minnesota, I forget which level of courts it was, but Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all 3 counts. It was murder in this. Where'd it go? Murder in the second and third degree, as well as second-degree manslaughter. He faces up to a maximum of 40 years in jail. And bail or bond was revoked. That's the biggest thing right there. Immediately, they said, bond? Nah, you ain't getting it, man. It ain't for you.
Well, I mean, but I feel like you had to do that because it seems like anytime these high-profile cases where people get killed by right wing people, like just other right wing people, they just pull money together and buy, like the guy Kyle Rittenhouse in the whole situation in what was that, Wisconsin? And you know, they put together like $1.2 million just to get him out of prison and just to get him out of jail. And so it's just like, yeah, you have to revoke because like I said, these folks are going. I mean, George Zimmerman is still able to flaunt what he did because those ultra right wing gun nuts, you know, they continued to support him, and they pulled all this money together to pay like all his debts off and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say it like this. Like it was a huge conviction, but it's still sort of sad that when a person is like literally filmed and there's a smoking gun case that, you know, we as Black people are still sitting here, or I mean, America as a whole is still sitting here wondering whether the conviction is going to turn out in our favor. And I mean, I saw a stat, you know, right after that, I think yesterday, that it was something like out of 20,000 shootings or similar incidences of, you know, police killing, I don't know if it was just unarmed, but of these kind of incidents, like 16 convictions out of 20,000. So it's like, hey man, is it really a win? I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Let's see. 16 divided by 20000. 0.0008.
Like, wow. So I mean, it feeds into just the whole thing of that. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, like I've said before, until the politicians start standing up against the police on our behalf, I just don't think we're going to see any real change in this, because I feel like since that conviction, there's been like 5 or 6 other incidents just in the past couple of days.
You had the young.
I mean, I know that girl did have a knife.
There was one in like North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah,
a guy got shot by the police. I mean, it's not even just the politicians. I mean, a lot of people don't know the history of the police force. I mean, our current form of police forcing was created in slavery days as a way to catch runaway slaves. And we've kept the same model going well into the 21st century. So there's still a lot of, I mean, like the tactics they use and everything. People just kind of, it's just okay with it. Just, well, it's a tough job. Okay. And I mean, welding is tough. But if I lose a limb, like, or if I'm a doctor and if I'm a surgeon and someone loses their life because of me making a mistake, I can lose everything. But they're given the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna be the one to be like, well, at least we got the guilty. I mean, obviously I don't live the same pressures that y'all do. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it is at least maybe it's a precedent. Maybe it's the precedent that a lot of courts start to use. Because, I mean, we know courts are big on precedents. Like, they got to have cases before they all start to follow suit. So hopefully this is the one.
Dizzy taser lady. Dizzy goofy taser lady. She's next.
I will say this, though. The one bright spot that came from this trial is that blue wall of silence was broken. For the first time, I've seen police officers actually testify against a police officer who was up for who was up in trial. 9 times out of 10, they typically don't. It's just because he's a good guy. I've known him for such and such. He's a good guy. It's not so they protect him. They protect the bad seed. But this time they came out and they testified against him, and I think that was a big reason why he did wind up getting convicted.
Yeah, I mean that certainly helps.
Yeah, that's true, because even I think I guess you're starting to see sort of a slight change, because even in the taser one, I saw right after that came out, I saw several social media posts of officers coming out and being like, "There's no way she should be an officer if she makes that kind of mistake, because it's one of the most impossible mistakes to make." And there was several videos. I don't know if that's because she was a woman, but contrast to when the Derek Chauvin thing happened. Remember, like that one cop who said he was like trying to challenge people to fights.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Everybody
doofus.
Right. He was trying to challenge people to fights, and everyone was like, all right, we'll take
Let
you,
go.
blah, blah. And he was like, never mind, I was just joking.
I do remember that. God, was the officer black?
Yeah, it was a black officer.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Right, but even in such a a horrible situation, there were still officers coming out and trying to defend him. But like you said, maybe now we're starting to get past that.
Let's hope, man. Let's move it into some football, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about some moves that have happened here recently in the NFL, and then we'll get into some Falcons news here at the end. So let's take it on down to the Blitz. I did it. That's the first time I've done it in a long time. Let's take it to the Gritz Blitz. Former.
Blitz.
We gotta get sound. We gotta get some transitions for these. So former first-round pick in 2005, Alex Smith hung it up after what anybody I think would say it was a miraculous comeback, just getting back to the point to where he could get back on the field, really just getting back to the point where he could walk again, let alone getting back to the point where he could play football and start in the NFL. I don't think many of us thought that was even possible after seeing that injury, but Alex Smith hangs it up after one season with the Washington football team. He finished his career with 35,650 passing yards and 199 passing touchdowns. The most memorable thing for Alex Smith for me is always that game he had against the Saints in the divisional round, where he was just like, he was everywhere. I mean, making all the passes, scrambling and getting huge first downs and critical points, and then that one big run to put them up ahead with like 3 minutes left, like 28-24, I think is what it put him up against the Saints, and really that was the game-winning touchdown in that game. But
yeah, the touchdown to Vernon Davis where he broke down on the sideline.
Vernon Davis did, or
Vernon Davis. Yeah, when he caught the touchdown to go ahead, and he came and he was bawling his eyes out
oh really? I
when
don't
he
remember
got
that.
in the sideline. I was like, wow.
Vernon Davis was one of those guys that was like, this guy is going to be, like an all-time great. He had the athleticism, he had the measurables, like he had the work ethic, but injuries just robbed him of that greatness. Like that man was so good.
I don't know. It hurt him later in his career, but he did have the rocky start.
We're talking about those drops at the beginning of his career.
Mm-mm. When Mike Singletary sent him off the field because I'd rather play with 10. Can't do it.
I forgot that was about Vernon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he always had a little bit of I don't want to say like Randy Moss because he wasn't quite that bad, but maybe like T.O. or Brandon Marshall in him.
Diva, mental instability.
But Alex Smith, round of applause for that gentleman because
yes, sir.
That's impressive. It was a good career. It was a really good career. He never lived up to that number 1 draft pick potential, but he was never bad. He was a good quarterback, did a lot of good things in the NFL, and then, managed to make it back on the field when no one expected him to. One comeback player of the year.
I think it's, for what it's worth, I think they said something like Matt Ryan is the highest the most winning quarterback ever drafted in the top 2 or something like that.
Top 2.
Or whatever he was, top 5 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Top 5. So for what it's worth, I think Alex Smith actually did it. For the track record of number 1 quarterbacks, I think he might have actually been worth that pick, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he was very good.
I might have to challenge you on that, Marco. The winningest?
It was something like that. I forget, some kind of stat where pretty much showing, I know it was to show Matt Ryan's like greatness, but to me what it really showed is that top 5 quarterbacks usually aren't that good.
Well, I mean, like because Peyton is also a top 5 drafted quarterback, and he's had way more 10, 12, 13, 14 win seasons than Matt has, and so I would think he would have more wins than Matt.
Maybe it wasn't wins. I forget what stat it was.
Yeah, I'm sure it might be a statistical stat, but I don't think it's wins because, like I said, for a while, Peyton they lose 1 or 2 games a season.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, I think Alex was sort of worth that pick just because I mean he was very consistent and even above good. Like that's the season before he got replaced by Pat Mahomes. Or was it the season after? I forget, but there was that one season where he got the Chiefs to a lot of wins. They got pretty deep, but he just knew he couldn't get them over the hump.
That was the season before,
and then Pat came in, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing with Alex Smith was he never necessarily lived up to number 1 overall, but I think a lot of that had to do with the situation when he first came into the league. There was so much instability around that Niners organization.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of defensive minded head coaches, and especially like Mike Singletary, he was a literally old school, I just want my quarterback not to turn the ball over. Don't care if you throw 40 touchdowns, just don't turn the ball over. That's all I care about. We're going to run the football. Conservative quarterback early on. And, he was always good protecting the football, but you never got to see how dynamic, you rarely got to see how dynamic he could be. I think just because though the protecting the football was drilled in his head so early on that he just never really just let it fly like some of the quarterbacks we see.
I don't think he had the arm talent to do it though. I mean, he wasn't a live arm quarterback. He could hit a deep pass. He's kind of like Matt. Like I'd say he and Matt Ryan have similar arm strengths.
Yeah, but I also think Matt's a lot more aggressive throwing the ball than he is.
Yeah, that's
and
a mentality thing.
he's going to take some risk that that Alex never did. And like I said, I just think it was because that protect the football was emphasized so much that he'd rather scramble than throw the ball into a tight window.
Yeah, but Alex Smith never had Roddy White, Julio Jones, Tony Gonzalez. He never had the type of receivers. Like he had some decent ones. Like Crabtree was okay. Vernon Davis was pretty good. Like
but I mean,
I can't think of another. Like I mean, he had McLaurin this season, but like
let me see.
Kansas City was before.
Kansas City, he had the same arsenal that Pat Mahomes had.
Well, yeah, but I mean, no one's gonna throw it like Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like I said, I think even who was it? Brett Coleman did a breakdown of him, and he that was one of the things he talked about. He got confused in coverage one time, and they were in man with a three-man rush, and he thought it was zone, and instead of
the hell's going on?
He immediately panicked and tried to scramble and ran into a sack. And that was just, like I said, because it was, I'd rather protect the football than.
So do y'all think that they should, I heard this notion that they should name the comeback player of the year award after Alex Smith?
I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then I guess the counter I heard was that, well, Teddy went through just as bad of an injury.
His was bad too. That knee. Oh God, that was a bad knee injury.
Yeah, but look at all the surgeries that
put him
Alex
out for
Smith
2
had
years
compared to what Teddy just
yeah.
had.
True.
And that was the counterpoint that Alex Smith had like 9 surgeries.
19.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, I mean, you're still kind of picking hairs just because. Even though what's his name was a lot more gruesome and it was a lot more extensive to fix it. I mean, Teddy was what 24?
Yeah, around there.
And it put him out of the league for two full seasons, and he finally starting to get to a point where he can trust it like almost 4 years later.
If you're giving me the choice, if someone says, all right, look, you can either go through the Alex Smith injury or the Teddy Bridgewater one, I'm picking Teddy's 10 times out of 10.
He almost lost his leg too, though.
I know, but I'm sure his leg doesn't look like
a
thing.
What about Anthony Miller, the tight end?
I'm probably going Teddy still.
You're saying that you'd rather experience Teddy's than Alex's?
Yeah, I mean, I would rather go through that one surgery to fix everything, and then rehab for a year, and then get a year to trust it again. That instead of 19 surgeries.
Yeah, I mean, and Teddy's was
putting your
non-contact,
hamstring on your shin, like, nah.
Yeah, Teddy's was non-contact, and Smith.
Well, and I mean, I don't know if y'all remember Anthony Miller's, but good God, that was a nasty injury where his leg legitimately bent the wrong way. It was just like, oh God, oh no.
I definitely remember that.
I was trying to find that stat. I forget what the actual stat was. I hate when I find stuff on Instagram and
I don't know what is going on. Hopefully the stream is staying live and not cutting out too bad. I don't know what's going on with my internet tonight, but it's saying it has an excellent connection. But so we'll move on to I don't know if I want to call this funny or just dumb. It's definitely dumb. It's a little weird. So you guys remember Aldon Smith, since we're moving off the 49ers players. Got kicked out of the league for a while, came back, played for the Cowboys this last year, and actually had a pretty decent season for the time he was there. Did not get re-signed by the Cowboys, though, and was recently picked up on a contract by the Seahawks, Well, he no longer is a Seahawk. The news broke. You had just heard that something happened. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps cutting out. They can still hear me though. But they're like, something happened with Aldon Smith. He had an altercation. Now he's been cut. So it turns out that he choked a victim. Let's check something.
I don't know, man. Did you accidentally switch the dial up?
Right. That's what it feels like. But
you doing some LimeWire streams in the background?
something's got to be downloading right now, and I'm like, what the hell is it? Like, I don't know if it's just my laptop or if it's my internet. But while we're experiencing a good connection here, he choked a victim unconscious in a coffee shop, and how do you go into a place like a coffee shop where it's supposed to be super chill? It usually smells really good. It smells like coffee. They got some like real mellow music playing, and you're like, ah! Like the barista brings him his order, and he's like, "I said no froth." Like,
oh, Hulk smash!
oh man.
Puny barista.
I don't know, man. Some of these guys are prehistoric.
Bruh, I've never been that up at a Starbucks or something. Just never did. What? You didn't put decaf in my frappuccino? Oh, I'm gonna kill you.
Just on edge.
I said soy milk. Soy milk.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm looking at my speeds and they're all over the place. My ping is like 445 milliseconds. Like, I don't know what's going on, but we'll try and get through it the best we can. Hopefully it fixes itself. In other NFL news, a judge ruled that Deshaun Watson should know the names of all 22 of his accusers, and all the plaintiffs should refile. Since getting the names of said accusers, Rusty Hardin released a statement saying that at least 18 of the 22 can be disproven and that the remaining accusations are a work in progress. I don't know what a work in progress means, but maybe it's just that they don't have enough information on this to where they can really talk about.
Or maybe he might have had actual sexual contact with them, but
that it's come out that he's had sex with at least 7 of them.
Oh, okay.
Consensual sex, and many of them have posted about it on their Instagram that they massaged them after the accusation or the date of the accusation. They've made posts like, I massaged Deshaun Watson. It was amazing. La da da da, and they advertised it. And
really?
Then, yeah, of those 7, and more than 7 have actually, I think 11 of them rebooked with him. And it just, a lot of it's hold on now.
If he really did that to you, you would not rebook. You wouldn't. Yeah, you're
not giving him another opportunity.
But to me, it's like what we've kind of hinted at. It's almost like the Texas Mafia, in Marco's words, coming to get him. It's like, you don't want to play. You don't want to play by our rules. Oh, we're gonna get you back in line.
I mean, even though it looks like it's completely falling apart now, I mean, it was just enough to put the fear of God in Deshaun.
It's really defame him, defame his name, destroy, take away his credibility. So that's what it is. Because unfortunately, in those incidents, whether you're guilty or you're innocent, it's as a man of his what's the
notoriety.
You're automatically you're seen as guilty, whether immediately you're guilty until proven innocent, as opposed to it the way it's supposed to be, where you're innocent until proven guilty. So your character is shot, and you have to do a lot of fighting just to save face. And if you're found innocent, even if you're found innocent, you still have to try to reclaim all that you've lost, because a lot of people aren't going to look at you the same.
Yeah, that's true. I've always felt like in this case that their goal was to put together a case that was strong enough to make it to court, but never make it through court, because as soon as they make it to court, they were going to file a grievance with the NFL to have his contract nullified.
Mm-hmm.
So, it looks like none of these are going to make it to court, hopefully. If this is true, if everything that what the defense is saying is true, and there are all these holes in their cases, hopefully that never does, because the Texans don't get the opportunity to nullify that contract because they signed him to it as well. It just they're just as culpable in this as Deshaun Watson is. You may not agree that he has the right to not play, even though he signed a contract to say I'm going to play, and they still have to pay him. I feel a certain way about that, because I can't go to my job, sign a contract that I'm going to show up to work, and then be like, well, you know what? These guys over there are getting paid more for their job, or I don't like working here anymore, and I get to go stay at home and my work still pays me. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah. Like, if you're not playing, you shouldn't be able to get paid, even though they're going to fine.
So technically, would they? I thought it's a game check thing. So you have to actually.
He would still get portions of it, like the guaranteed money.
Okay. Yeah, he get it guaranteed from the game checks to be earned. My only thing is the type of work that it is. You can't just replace Deshaun Watson's productivity, though. And while I get what you were saying, Ryan, it's like I said, it's just, who you going to get? You can bring back Brock Osweiler and see if he can put up Deshaun Watson's numbers. We all know how that went.
Right.
It's just one of those things. It's like it's too the owners have an industry that is highly watched, highly sought after, but your product is based off of who the players you put on the field. And if those players don't want to go on the field, then ultimately your product suffers. So and while the owners technically have the leverage, I mean, like I said, your product suffers overall if those players say, screw it, I don't care. I'll take a loss than play on the field for you. So
yeah, I mean, it's almost more comparable to even though they don't get their money till after the fact, I'm sure they get signing bonuses, but say you're in a major motion picture and Leonardo DiCaprio is unhappy with the way something's going. And he's like, okay, well, I'm actually not going to report. I'm not coming to set anymore until y'all work all these things out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's more like that.
And that's a good point.
They find a dude off of one of the CW shows and try to put him in his Leonardo DiCaprio.
Matt Damon.
No, Matt Damon still be a big draw, but I mean, it's
not
be
as
like,
big, though.
Oh man, just be like, hey,
Matt Damon is like the equivalent to bringing Teddy Bridgewater in to replace Deshaun.
What's his name? Aaron Eckhart from the one that played Two-Face on Dark Knight. Just be like, all right, you're gonna replace Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, wait, what?
You kind of look like him.
Kind of, sort of.
You were a pretty good Two-Face. You're not the Revenant good, but
you're gonna be the next Great Gatsby.
I mean, fortunately for Deshaun, it is looking like the only consequence of all this is gonna be he's gonna have to find another way to, maybe he's just gonna have to start getting escorts like the rest of everybody else in modern history instead of seducing masseuses.
He was using Instagram.
Yeah.
Look for the girls with booking.
He's like, look, bro, Backpage is gone. Like, it's
Yeah, what
Instagram
about
now.
it?
Hey, just go to Craigslist personals.
That's gone too, bro.
Yeah, that's gone too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, not that I was perusing them, but I just remember the cases.
Yeah, I remember when Trump got rid of it.
Yeah, like, well, I remember being in the Army when that happened. So that was like 2016.
Trump was there.
That was before then, because you were out by 16.
I was like 15, 16. I was still up there. Yeah.
Because I remember when Backpage got taken down, it was like 2017, and that was like one of Trump's big hoorahs. Like,
He's
we're
like,
stopping
look,
child trafficking.
I'm gonna be able to get the children, but all you other adults are gonna have to.
Oh
Like, I got my daughters. You think this is an exclusive club, okay?
Right. He was still thinking Jeffrey Epstein was the plug at that point.
Oops.
My buddy Jeff got this.
Oh man.
Me and Bill headed down to Jeff's island.
Oh man, let's take a hard left out of this conversation. Let's get out of these waters. It's a little too hot for me.
Yeah.
Let's see, where were we at?
Former Jordan Reed.
Oh yeah, so Jordan Reed also announces his retirement from the NFL. He was, for those of y'all that don't know, he was a tight end. Played for the 49ers, the Washington football team, and I think it was another team in between there, wasn't there? Or was it just those two? I don't remember. But in Washington, he made the Pro Bowl. He was pretty good there for a while. But he was all like in the beginning of his career, and then up until these last 2 seasons, he was one of those guys that was like, I'm sorry, he was a Pro Bowler with the Washington football team, and then went to the 49ers. That's what it was. Beginning of his career, he was a potential guy. It was like, okay, you've got all the tools. You can be really good. You got speed, you got good hands, you got the size for this. But, people always expected more out of him.
Well, first of all, I'll say this. He was a Matt Jones. If anybody doesn't remember, Matt Jones
without
was
the cocaine.
Quarterback, quarterback at Arkansas that moved to tight end. That's what Now, granted, he played tight end like his last year at Florida,
Right.
But he was also one who's plagued by a lot of injuries, concussions. Concussions pretty much destroyed his career. But yeah, I mean that was him. It was just he was talented. He was freakish athletic player, but between the injury bug pretty much kept him off the field, so he could never consistently produce.
Yeah.
It's weird that his best season wasn't rewarded with a Pro Bowl, but his second, it was his. So he had 11 rushing and receiving touchdowns, with a total of 952 yards from scrimmage in 2015. But then 2016, he had 6 touchdowns, 686. 10 yards attempt. Both were 10 an attempt with less touches.
Yeah, they made the I think one year they didn't make the playoffs, and the next year they did, and that's why he got in the Pro Bowl.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Let's see where they finished. Where did the Redskins finish that year?
You said 2015.
They won their division.
16 they made the playoffs. I know they made the playoffs 16.
I mean, if they won their division, they had to make the playoffs in 2015, right?
15 or 16?
15.
Yeah.
They were 9-7, won their division. So I mean,
Here's why. It's because Jimmy Graham was still a Saint. Greg Olsen was still on fire.
Okay.
And you had Jimmy Graham, Rob Gronkowski, Greg Olsen, and Julius Thomas were the Pro Bowl tight ends that year. Like, and all
wasn't Olsen in the Super Bowl?
That year.
15, yes.
Yeah.
15 with with Carolina.
Well, at least he got his makeup. He got his makeup one. They were like, "Oh, our bad. We missed you last season."
All I know is that the year that Greg Olsen made that Pro Bowl, we ended that winning streak.
We sure did.
Oh, you're gonna go undefeated, huh? Nah.
Vic Beasley was like, "No."
Vic Beasley played out of his mind that game.
For 2 seasons, man, Vic was so promising.
Right. You're like, yeah, that number 6 pick was worth it.
Then he was just like,
or 4?
I want to be a pastor. No, I think it was 8.
Was it that
Yes.
high? I couldn't
I
remember.
think it was 8. Yeah. But then he decided, I'm a pastor is my calling. Forget this
Right.
football thing. Forget making millions of dollars. I want to be a pastor.
I mean, hey, and there's nothing against that, but
Yeah.
I was watching that 96 draft thing, and some guy, I guess, I guess Malik Rose had some competition, and this one guy, he got drafted by the Clippers or the Lakers or something, and then he got like scared. He like flew to LA, he got scared, and then he just quit basketball altogether and became like a pastor. And he was like, "Oh yeah, God just told me I couldn't play anymore." I was like, "Nah, bro, you were just scared. Don't blame God for
But, but it's like Reggie White. Reggie White was one of the greatest defense of all the time, and he was a pastor as well. But him being a pastor didn't take away from his passion from the game. But it was
Right.
just like, Vic Beasley, it was all he cared about. So
Right, but it's like you get 2 or 3 contracts, you can build like 5 churches. Like,
yeah, I mean, it really only helps. It only helps you build your congregation the longer you play, because the more people you'll meet, but
yeah, I mean,
that's him though.
you get one contract, you'll build a decently sized church. You get 2 contracts, you're building like one of those like mega churches
yeah,
and having a following. But
Well, hell, and where he's from in South Georgia, bruh, I mean, that really could have been
yeah, that could have been a gold mine for him. Not well,
I wouldn't say gold mine, but
yeah, well, Creflo Dollar has and
God's treasure chest.
yeah, that's we won't get into that topic. But what else we got to talk here? So the Patriots have been rumored. And I remember us talking about this earlier, a couple episodes ago. But the talks about the Patriots trying to move Stephon Gilmore for using him as leverage to move up into the top 4, top 5, top 6 to draft a quarterback has resurfaced. And I have a couple thoughts on this. One, I don't like helping the Patriots just because even though Tom Brady's gone, they're still the empire of evil to me. So it's like, don't help them. Don't help them. I'm tired of it. Like, their fans are so annoying. Just let them remain in
well the fans that they have left, because
right, the ones that didn't follow Brady.
A lot of them jumped ship with Tom Brady.
They jumped
I'm a
onto
Patriots
the
fan.
ship with
I'm a Patriots fan. No, wait. Brady's going to Tampa. I'm a Tampa fan. Yeah. Die hard. I was always a Tampa fan.
You couldn't find Tampa on a map. But secondly, let me say this. They're rumored to be offering us Gilmore and a slew of picks to move up to 4, because they know really, 4 is where the draft starts, because 1, 2, and 3, we all pretty much know what's going to happen there. It's going to be Lawrence and then Zach Wilson and then either Mac Jones or Justin Fields at 3. And then 4 is where it's the wild, wild west. You don't know what's going to happen there. So that's really, where they're targeting, because they want to get one of those 4 quarterbacks for their scheme, because Bill Belichick knows that his legacy is being tarnished every time he misses the playoffs and Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl without him. So he's getting real aggressive in his moves, and you typically don't see this happen with Belichick. He was always the type of guy to move back, especially in a draft like this, where there's lots of picks that can be had in the 2nd and 3rd round, and they turn out to be really good players. This is a type of draft where they would move back and just, maybe even twice in the 1st round and just get like 6 2nd and 3rd round picks out of it. But what would it take for you guys? Oh, sorry. Let me finish that thought. I don't trust defensive players that the Patriots, especially Bill Belichick, are willing to part ways with, because it's usually a sign that they're either a system player and he knows that, and they're not going to succeed outside of there, or they're on the decline in their career. So I know Stephon Gilmore is wildly talented. He was like, next to Jalen Ramsey, probably the best corner in the NFL the last 2 or 3 seasons. Just been a virtual lock on one side of the field. So I don't trust that. But what would it take for you guys to be willing to trade from 4 down to 12 with the Patriots and knowing you're going to get Stephon Gilmore in return? Micah.
All right. I'd want Stephon. Uh, swap. I want to swap first round picks. Give me Stephon, and I would need possibly another first rounder. Just because they're so low, I would need at least one more first rounder and maybe like a fourth rounder or so. Huh?
From who?
From the Patriots.
But how many first rounders do they have?
Well,
No,
talking about future.
talking about future. I'm talking about the future. So swap 4 for 14. Give me Stephon Gilmore. Give me next year's first rounder and maybe like a fourth rounder, and I consider doing it because, I get what you're saying as far as, Brady. I mean, not Brady, but Belichick. Often when he's ready to move a player, it's because he knows they're on a decline. But Stephon Gilmore is so savvy. He's so smart. And he knows Dean Pease' scheme. So even if he has lost a step, the things that he could teach a young corner like AJ and Oliver and all these young corners we have, the things that they can learn from him, especially in that Dean Pease scheme, and like how to be more effective, positioning, knowing where your help is, and just the overall cerebral aspect of it. Like, I think it would be worth it to make that deal if we did.
Marco, what would it take for you to be okay with this? Or would you even be willing to do it?
I mean, I'd be willing to do it just because, my whole thing is that I want to trade that pick. So I'm inclined to, but obviously, 9 seasons, it's going to be a 10th season in the league, as a cornerback. But, I think that knowledge is, invaluable enough to where that he'll make an impact, even if he's not, tip-top athlete anymore. So with that in mind, I would need, maybe a future first, like a second or a third round pick in addition to that this year. So second or a third. So, I'd probably want that second though. So swap picks, a second, and then a future first in addition to Gilmore. Even a future second, I would even think about taking though.
Man, y'all are being kind to the Patriots. Like, Stephon Gilmore is coming off of an injury, a pretty severe injury. He's 30 years old. He is a cornerback, in a cornerback deep draft. He wasn't great in Buffalo before he was in New England. Granted, Dean Pease is here. Yeah, he knows that system. He could be a plug and play type of player. He could be a mentor. But, like, I'm asking for 1, 2, and 3 this year, 1 next year, and maybe like a 5th or a 4th next year as well. Or maybe like a 1st next year and the 1st the year after. Because, like I said, we have the number 1 pick in the draft at this point. Treat it as such. Treat it as it's going to take, a ton. Because we'd be moving down 8 spots. That's huge. That is they're 12.
They're 14.
They're 14? Okay, I thought they were 12. Who's 12? So Broncos 9, Cowboys 10, 11 is I don't remember. So yeah, if we're moving down 10 spots, even give me this year's first, next year's first, the following year's first, your second and third this year, and like throwing another pick in there from one of those 2 drafts. Maybe like your second 2 years from now. Like I'm trying to take you for everything you have. If you're that desperate for a quarterback, I'm going to treat you like you're desperate. I've got the last little bit of water, and you are thirsty.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're 15.
They're 15, so 11 spots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to need I thought I was thinking at 12, but yeah, 15.
Even then.
I need your every draft pick.
Right. Hey, Coach Belichick, you remember that Ricky Williams trade? That was pretty crazy, right? They really wanted Ricky You really want a quarterback, don't you?
Might have to throw in Sonny Michel's knee.
We have the key. We have the key to Justin Fields. Justin Fields behind Cam Newton. What do you want?
I mean, hell, I am trying to rake them over the coals.
Oh man, I could just imagine like the guy from that was it the Allstate or with the fishing rod with the dollar on it. I almost had it. Got to be quicker than that.
Did you guys hear about Justin Fields? What was just released?
Yeah,
epilepsy. This is the one side of the draft that I absolutely hate. Like, that's going to hurt his draft stock. Why? I don't know. I mean, you've seen this man play in front of bright lights, and I'm sure the flashes over him running and all that type of stuff simulates flashing lights. He's played in, environments where there's video boards doing these things. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's like you over-evaluate seizures.
The disorder in which nerve cell activity in the brain is disturbed, causing seizures. I honestly think that, the worst part is that they waited so long, to say it. Like, obviously they wait till the week beforehand, which is always a dick move. But I mean, that's a major concern in a game that is built around playing through head trauma.
Right.
You know what I mean? To deal with somebody who, already has a susceptibility, to triggering seizures in his brain. He's played football his whole life, so I'm sure that's already contributing to it. It's big. I think it is a big deal, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, but some of my thing, my frustration is he hadn't had him for a long time. Apparently, like he's managed them. I don't know, maybe with medicine. I don't know how, but they said he's managed his seizures. But a lot of what I've heard, yeah. But he does. I've heard he has photographic memory, which is an amazing thing to have as a quarterback. Not to mention they had some kind of aptitude test that they made them take, and he scored the highest of all the quarterbacks.
What the what's it called test?
Not the Wonderlic. It was a different one. I don't know if they still use the Wonderlic, but according to Matt Miller, he says the three quarterbacks mentioned the most by NFL scouts are Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and Sam Ehlinger. Says the things you hear about Mac Jones are next level. One area scout who wasn't in the interview said his GM thinks Jones is the smartest quarterback they've ever interviewed, which is funny to me because you know who else also interviewed well, and it led to him getting drafted early.
Oh, your boy Rosen. No,
he didn't interview well. Mitchell Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell Trubisky had outstanding interviews, and that's why the Bears took him over both Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, if they interview well, who cares? So what? Doesn't mean anything. Right. Now, like I said, I think Mac Jones winds up on the 49ers. I've been saying it for a while, but I think that's more of a scheme thing. But some of the things they nitpick on for players, it just boggles my mind. It's like you look for every reason not to draft a player versus, like instead of like, oh yeah, this guy didn't learn how to tie his shoe until he was 10 years old. That's just way too late developing. I can't take a guy like that. It's like, come on, man, that's stupid.
Right.
I laugh at the ridiculousness of that, but that's honestly something that
it's accurate.
Right.
It's not like Justin Fields had a gas mask on.
Shout out
or
Laramie
jumped
Tunsil.
out of windows or whatever the hell that was.
Oh, Kim Dichie.
I've just found it.
Robert Kim Dichie.
Right.
Yeah, this guy ate pace when he was in kindergarten. Not a draftable trade.
Did you hear that one goofy kneecap coach? He was trying to play rock, paper, scissors with his the dudes on the Zoom call to gauge their competitiveness.
That was
like
the Jets.
This dude's gonna flame out so hard. No, it's the dude, the kneecap coach. I think it's
was
the
that
Lions
him?
guy.
I thought it was.
Lions head coach.
Pat McAfee is such a fan of him. Dan Johnson, isn't that his name? Or...
Oh God.
I think.
But I just found something. So one player, Alan
Faneca.
Alan Faneca suffered from epilepsy, and he made the Hall of Fame. So
yeah, Alan Faneca was a beast. Like literally one of the greatest guards of all time.
Yeah, like absolute monster. Played up in the Steelers.
Everything. So I mean, if he could do it, bashing his head in the line every play, I don't think it's going to be an issue for Justin Fields.
Hey, good segue. Actually, I just remembered this. Did you guys see the proposed? Well, the NFL they started a competition a while back, and this kind of flew under the radar, and you're now starting to see results come out. But it's a competition for designing new helmets, like safer helmets. For their players, and one just came out, and it's a lineman-specific helmet. Did you guys see this? Let's see if I can pull it up here for the stream. NFL helmets. But they've got so they put sensors in helmets these last couple of years, and they're trying to they were studying to see where most of the impact for certain positions were, and one of the biggest ones for linemen, like as you know, it's this area, because you take that initial blow right in the front of your head on the snap. But so this one, it's called like the trench. Let's see if I can trench helmet.
He commands the trench.
It's a position based helmet. The trench, the Visus 02R trench.
It looks like a lacrosse helmet.
It does. It's very extended. It's got bumpers in the areas where most of the impact happens. I think they look pretty cool. I was watching Pat McAfee the other day.
Gundam. Looks like a Gundam helmet.
Pat and AJ Hawk both hated them. He said, like, AJ Hawk was like, "What the hell is this? They look terrible." And Pat wasn't a big fan of them, but I thought they looked pretty cool. I guess, it's something that players have a big gripe with. I know. Well, AJ Hawk was saying, he's like, there were certain helmets when they were testing these out early on that they would put on him. They were supposed to be better for concussions. He would put them on. He's like, I can't wear these. Like, they're just too uncomfortable. They're too different.
Right. But like, I could see a comfort issue maybe, but in terms of like how it looks, I don't know. No one's looking at linemen anyway about their goddamn helmet, so they just need to suck that up.
I did when Canty played for the Giants.
When the big intimidating helmets.
The big face mask.
Yeah. His face masks were always really cool.
Yeah. But I mean, if anything, I would try it out. I would have them try them out in practice and the few preseason games you have, just to see the feel, so players can see how they feel and whatnot. And that's you just keep trying to build on it, because it doesn't look appealing, but at this point, I think the NFL is at a point where they're trying to emphasize safety over looks on certain things, because they still don't want to give players long-term health insurance, but so if they can reduce some of the brain injuries while they're playing, then they can continue to not have to worry about paying people injuries long term.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, they're offering $1 million to the winner of this helmet search, and that $1 million is still $1 million. But if you're talking about the amount of what they paid out in lawsuits over the last couple of years to some of these players, they're CTE. That's and we haven't even really seen what that's going to be, because CTE is only about 10 years old. When did that come out?
I mean, as long as they've known about it. But
when they started noticing 10, 20, concussions,
2010 when that movie came out.
Yeah. So we're
nah, it came out well after that.
tell the truth.
Was it?
God. What was that movie? What was it called? Anyway. But
Wasn't
yeah.
it just called Concussion?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was.
was-
That's what it was. I'm trying to remember.
It came out 2015, the movie. But like I said, they knew about they knew about that well before, because like Junior Seau
right.
died before then. So
I mean, people have always known concussions were bad for you and can definitely leave you a shell of yourself.
Yeah, make
But,
it loopy. The Pittsburgh player, I think, did it in the 90s, right? He blew his brains out in the 90s, didn't he? Wasn't there some Pittsburgh that was featured in that movie? He was like the first incident they sort of highlighted.
I don't remember.
I don't know, but I looked at, like, Junior Seau died in 2012. It's been almost 10 years since Junior Seau killed himself. So,
Right.
you know,
Tell the truth.
And I mean, we just had that incident with the guy in South Carolina.
Philip Adams, yeah.
Yeah. So it's terrible. I mean, your brain's it's a soft muscle in a cage of hard bone, and if you're getting it rattled around, like, it's not good for it. There's only a little bit of fluid all around it. So
Yeah.
That was funny how Jim McMahon, someone who suffers from CTEs, like, fuck the Bears.
I mean,
Right.
you got to feel a certain way, playing for a franchise like that, and you're all banged up, and
Right.
it's still trash.
You gave your life for them.
Honestly. But yeah, I think they were pretty cool. Let's see. We've already kind of talked about this, but the Dolphins are apparently openly considering moving down from 6. There's been lots of rumors about that. A team that's surprised me here recently that's jumped up in the talks as far as moving up are the Giants. Now, they're saying they're happy with Daniel Jones, but apparently they're considering moving up to possibly draft one of these quarterbacks. I think that might be a little bit of smoke, because Daniel Jones looked good. You can certainly build around him. He just didn't have weapons.
I would think if they moved up, they would be trying to get Pitts or something.
That's what I was about to say, is because they need a consistent pass catcher. Pitts or Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. He needs pass catchers, because it's like the Ravens ranked last in receptions by wide receivers last year, and I think right behind them were the Giants.
What would you do with Evan Ingram if you got Pitts?
Do exactly what you do with him now. Throw him the ball and hope he catches it.
Pitts could be a damn receiver, man.
I mean, either Ingram or Pitts. They're exactly the same receiver or the same.
Well,
person.
no. Pitts is way better than Ingram.
That's what I was saying. But if you're talking about athleticism, they're the same.
Yeah.
And how they're used.
Ingram ran a 4.3 something.
Yeah,
I believe
Ingram is fast. 6'4", 6'5", ran like a 4.3, 236-ish.
Mm-hmm.
They're clones as far as their bodies go, but Ingram just can't catch.
What number pick is? What are San Diego and Los Angeles Chargers and Cincinnati? What picks are they?
What pick are they? Mid to late.
Cincinnati's 5.
Because they're probably going to go after Chase.
Yeah, Cincinnati's 5.
Yeah, let's see. Let's pull the whole thing up, because this year I don't know as many of the picks like I used to, because we're so high. It's like my brain cuts off at 4.
And then Chargers probably.
Let's see. Chargers are 13.
Okay, they're not getting anything.
So
the only thing I would hate is the Chargers might be the team that steals what's the name from us? Najee, yeah.
Well, no one can steal anything
they
from us.
They got Eckler though.
Yeah, but they need a back with some size, because Eckler's good, but he's more of a change of pace back. He's not a guy you want to give 32 touches a game.
I would be shocked if you saw the Chargers draft a running back that high, because typically you see the Chargers get these guys in around like 3 or 4, and they turn them into stars. They've done it. Tomlinson's the only one that was like that, and he was pick number 10? Where did they pick him? I forget.
No, he was 2.
Was he 2? He was that high?
Yeah. Yeah, we swapped picks.
Yeah.
We swapped picks with them.
Yeah.
And I think they just lost Hunter.
Henry,
Henry.
tight end.
Melvin. Oh yeah. Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry.
But I think I think either they go offensive lineman or I think they go running back right there. I just think those are the two best. Now, you talked about Miami. I'm surprised. Miami's trying to trade out. If anything, I would think they're trying to get Micah Parsons at 6.
Yeah, I mean it is weird that they would trade out considering they traded back up.
Mm-hmm.
They traded back out of 3, and then down to 12, and then they traded from 12 to 6.
They sound like the Boston Celtics of the NFL. It's just
Danny,
like we have so many first round picks, we don't even know what to do with them.
God damn it, Danny.
So in Falcons news, we had a very exciting week, about a week and a half ago, at least in my opinion. Now, I've seen on a lot of these message boards and a lot of these forums, some of the fans were like, I don't get this. Why are we wasting our money on these guys? But we signed Cordero Patterson, he'll be listed as a running back for us, but he's really a gadget guy. He's a tool. He's an offensive weapon. He plays running back, wide receiver, kick returner. You could probably play him at safety if you wanted to. But so signing Cordero Patterson's a huge, huge step up for us because listening, I believe it was Andy. I listened to Andy and Randy about a week ago. He had mentioned that the Falcons were ranked number 3 in the NFL over the Dan Quinn era. So those 4 years, like the last 4 years of Dan Quinn's era, we ranked number 3 in fair catches called in that entire time. And the only teams ahead of us were the Jets and I can't remember it, but Braxton Berrios, the fair catching machine up in New York, just is, no one's going to catch him at number 1. I forget who number 2 is, but,
Man, hey, nobody's more sure-handed than me.
Bad field position was a primo here.
Oh my God, I don't know how many times we would have drives start from like the 12, the 7.
Right.
It's like, why?
Still managed to at least move to the 50.
Bruh, I mean,
Matt plays better from inside the 10. Like until he gets the other inside the 10.
My biggest thing is outside of Devin Hester, and we had a couple good years from Eric Weems. It's like, bro,
Kenyon Barner was pretty good.
Yeah, that's
Weems was the one who tried to bring it out in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, but Weems was good at one point, and then we brought him back after we let Devin Hester go, and he was just done.
Should never got rid of McAllister.
Huh?
What was it? The dude who Seattle turned into a running back? JD.
Oh yeah.
Was that his name? JD. Wasn't it JD McAllister?
Nah, it wasn't McAllister. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just can't think. JD McKissick.
Oh yeah, JD McKissick. Yeah, who we let go and then went up to Seattle and played as just balled out.
Yeah.
Running back, and he became like a Swiss Army knife up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a lot of those guys that we just let walk, and I was like, why are you doing that? And from what we saw, he was a good player.
But yeah, that getting Cordero, he's one of the top kick returners in the league, and I love that.
Last 4 years, he's had 3 touchdowns returned off of kickoffs. He probably won't be our punt returner. He doesn't really see much time there, but he's a kickoff returner, and he is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited about that signing just because it's been it's like an understated part of being a good football team, but field position is so important. And we would constantly see our team just, underneath the freaking concrete trying to make something happen.
No more Brandon Powell back there.
God. We just had we have not had a good kick. Really, I mean, Devin Hester was definitely the best one we had ever.
Remember we went and got Andre Roberts only for him to be trash, and then go to the Jets like the next year and be like Pro Bowl.
Everywhere he's gone since being here, he's been a Pro Bowler. It's like, what were we doing? I mean, that was a direct reflection. That's what got what's his name? Keith Armstrong fired.
Keith Armstrong, yeah.
Yeah, God, he was terrible. He was billed to be so good, and he was like, oh, he's going to be a head coach. He's going to be a head coach. And then we were like, well, you're actually fired.
Right. Like, work on the thing that you're assigned to work on before you start work. Yeah, he was terrible at that job.
I'm excited, though, what we can do with Cordero, because he's listed as a running back. You can put him in the backfield. It's going to have a running back number, so he can go back there and be eligible. You can motion him out.
They're changing that now.
Well, I mean, I know that. Well, is it official? Because I know they have talked about they have officially signed it. Like, these numbers are now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. The rule about the what is it? Some rule about special teams.
Tom Brady was upset about it. I remember hearing that, but
he was mad about the numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Why can a running back wear 7 now? That's not fair.
This
Good
is
luck
dumb.
on figuring out who to block.
This
the
is
guy
dumb.
in front of you. It's not like your linemen aren't going to the like getting down on their hands in the dirt. And they look up and they're like, number 6. Who? Hold on.
Why is the safety in front? Why is the safety in front of me?
This is a really big safety.
Timeout.
I can't do this. This is too confusing.
It reminds me of college though, because a lot of college players, who was it? Was Myles Garrett one of them that we wear like a ridiculously low number in college?
Was he like 8 or something, right?
I remember USC had an offense had a defensive tackle that wore number 2. It's like I think it was like Frosty Rucker. He wore like number 2 at defensive end.
Myles Garrett
like
was 15 in college.
Yeah, 15, yeah.
Yeah, good call. But yeah, I'm excited about that. That's matchup problems galore. You know, you bring him out of the backfield. He's an extra slot guy. He's going to be matched up with probably a safety or a linebacker. He's going to be inside of Julio and Ridley.
Yeah.
Like, it's just another weapon. Like, he's not going to be he's never going to be an elite receiving threat. He's just not.
What the thing is, Arthur, from what I've seen with Arthur Smith in his time at Tennessee, he's very creative in how he gets his weapons the ball. Mm-hmm. Like guys who he actually knows who are just freak athletes, he finds creative. Like Jonnu Smith, the way he got Jonnu Smith involved in the offense, because early on, like you knew Jonnu Smith, like anybody who knew of Jonnu Smith early in his career knew he was a very freak of nature athlete, and once he started slowly incorporating him into offenses, throwing screens to him, running like end around to him, just getting the ball in his hand and get him in the open space and let him work. And yeah, and he was a beast.
I mean, Cordero on an end around is a threat to take it the distance anytime.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how much Matt likes his receivers that, aren't threats.
I know.
That's his favorite receivers.
Here comes pressure. Throw it to, oh, God, what was his name? The tight end, Luke Stocker.
Luke Stocker.
Matt loves turning average receivers into high yardage receivers.
Here's the blitz. Luke, catch.
It's like anybody but Julio.
But yeah, I'm excited about that, man. And so we'll move on to the next signing that we had before I make this statement. But Fontenot, man.
Mm-hmm.
But we signed Duron Harmon, who he was with the Lions this last year. So he essentially moved from New England to another New England system and is going to come down to Atlanta to another New England system. So he's going to fit right in. He's probably going to play strong safety for us. He's played just about every position in the secondary over his time in the NFL, but he's a very versatile, very smart, very savvy safety. He's not going to be a hard hitter like Keanu. He's kind of like Ricardo, but a little bigger, a little faster, a little rangier than Ricardo was. He's going to fill that slot for us. He might play free safety. It's hard to say because both of our safeties that we picked up and signed can play either. Like Eric Harris is pretty durable as well. And both the guys that we have behind them are pretty durable, like versatile. So it's hard to say how our safeties are going to line up. And the way Dean Pease uses safeties anyway, they don't really they do both things. So both come down in the box and play. Both play coverage. Both play deep center field sometimes. So it's not like it's going to be an easy read for a quarterback to get back there and be like, all right, he's back there. He's doing this. You pretty much knew Keanu Neal was never going to play deep center field when he's on the field. He's going to play little robber zones, flat zones, curl zones, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. He's coming off his best year in the NFL ever. He had 73 tackles, 2 interceptions, I believe. Let me look at that. Yeah, 2 interceptions and quite a few passes defended. The thing I like most about him, though, is the way he plays in the clutch. I think when it was in New England, I believe, they called him, like fans called him the closer because he would find ways to come up with big interceptions when the game was on the line. And he actually played really well against us in the Super Bowl. So, he's a very good player. But I'll make this statement real quick, and then I'll ask you guys about it. But Fontenot, what he was known for in New Orleans was not his ability. Like, he wasn't down there doing cap moves and doing all this salary cap management. That was that other guy that he tried to bring here. But what he was really, 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 really good at and really successful, and what actually set the Saints up to be extremely successful, was finding these bargain guys in free agency and bringing them on, and them making huge impacts for the Saints. Like, that's what he did. He was part of the Winston deal. He was part of, even though Peyton saw him, he was part of bringing on Taysom Hill. He was part of bringing on Malcolm Jenkins, P.J. Williams. What's the guy, the corner that they got from the Giants? Janoris Jenkins. Like, he was this guy that went out there, and he was responsible for those type of moves. So I'm really happy with what he's been doing with us so far. And from what we're just seeing from him, like, what would you guys grade him out thus far? And as far as, like, being able to go out and get guys and starters in some positions for us with limited salary cap numbers. What are you guys thinking of him so far?
I mean, I'm not really ready to judge him until we see what he does.
Right, it's going to be hard to say how good they're going to be until we see their performance on the field. But
not only that, but I think this draft is going to be a big thing because the narrative in the media is that the coach, he's cool with Matt, but Fontenot wants a new QB. So we're gonna see, what happens here and how masterful if they do trade out or if they stay there. I don't know. I really can't assess him until I see after this draft, honestly.
Yeah, it's fair. Non-committal, but fair.
So as of right now, I'll give him a B. I'm not going to go too high, but as far as holes on the team, he has gone and gotten solid players that fill desperate holes that we've had. Like I said, Cordell Patterson, huge signing. And it wasn't expensive, but special teams is somewhere we've lacked the past few years, and so to bring in a guy like him that's explosive, he is huge. Mike Davis, very big signing. Mike, as well as Mike Davis played in Christian McCaffrey's place last year, that's a very nice running back move. And we'll still probably have to get somebody else in free agency, but if we did running back by committee and he got the bulk of the carries with as long as like Brian Hill and Cordero to share in the backfield, I think we still would be better than we were last year.
We don't have the money to bring someone in. We're down to $896,000 in cap space because I'm talking about I'm talking about draft.
Draft. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. So as far as that, like even if we didn't draft anybody, I think between what we have right now, between Allison and Mike Davis and Brian Hill, I think Brian Hill's still on the contract. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then Allison, Cordero, and Mike Davis, I think we still could have a decent running back by committee thing.
For sure.
Eric Harris, Fabian Moreau, Ron Harmon. These are guys who fit this scheme, this defensive scheme, and fill some of those secondary holes that we have. Now, granted, I mean they're not big name, they're not but you don't necessarily need big name players to win. You just need people to fill roles. You need legit role players and guys who can contribute in their role. And like I said, I know a lot of people are upset because we haven't made the big name moves, but we don't have the cap space.
Mm-mm.
And with the lack of cap space that he's done to bring in the players that he's brought in, that like I said, they fit the needs. I'll give him a B for that.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget about it was Brandon Copeland and Barkevius Mingo were linebacker signings. You know, neither of those guys are going to come in and give you like 10 sacks. They're good depth signings. They know the system. They fit the scheme that we're moving to. They're versatile. You know, it's definitely been. And you mentioned him earlier. I think Fabian Moreau might be one of the most underrated signings that we've had thus far.
Oh yeah,
great aggressive corner. Very good at, jumping the ball. He has a lot of speed. He's kind of like Kendall Sheffield, but a little bit faster, a little bit savvier. Knows the system as well. So I'm excited by what he's done. And we're starting to see with how he's put together, sign people that could more than likely are going to be starters or will be competing for starter roles, where our holes are starting to fall and where they view the weaknesses as far as youth goes and how we're probably going to see a draft plan. Because if you go and you look at the depth chart, like those two guys I just mentioned here, Mingo and Copeland, we still have a weakness in pass rusher across from Dante Fowler. We don't have interior linemen for this 3-4 scheme. We still need someone to pair next to Grady as a nose tackle and just eat up blocks. Even though we have Tyler Davidson, he could kind of do it, but he's more of a D tackle, a run stuffing D tackle than he is a nose tackle. Like he just doesn't quite have the size right now. He's not like a Vita Vea. He's not a Will Fork. He's not Snacks or anybody like that. He's about 50 pounds lighter than all those guys I just mentioned. So that's not his role. Even though we signed, what was his name? Josh
Bullard
Andrews. Josh Andrews, the lineman. We still don't have a true starter at left guard. We don't have a true starter at center unless they're planning on going with Hennessy. But, that your starters right now at left guard would be probably Gono. Your center would probably be Hennessy, but who knows how they view that. And then, secondary's a big issue. Deron Harmon is as good as he was is not a long-term solution. Eric Andrews is not a game changer at free safety. Eric Smith. Yeah, sorry. It's not a game changer at free safety. So we're starting to see, possibly some insight into what our draft board probably looks like. We, like Micah was talking about, we don't have a true number one running back. We, do we have youth behind Julio? And then there's always the quarterback question. How long do we view Matt Ryan has left? So with that being said, we kind of have a glimpse at what we're going to do in the draft if you just read between the lines. At least that's me, unless I'm reading into it too much. What do you guys think? Marco, am I reading too much into this, or are we seeing a little bit into what we're going to be doing?
I don't know. What are you reading?
Well, those positions are probably what we're going to be drafting here. Probably
I thought you meant like a definitive answer of what we're doing with number 4. Like we're taking
number 4, I think is as up in the air as. There's probably more questions about our first pick than there is any of our other picks, honestly, because it just depends on what the value is going to be offered for us for someone to trade up. That really is dependent. That pick is dependent on what's going to be offered for it, because we know we're going to get offers. We know we've received offers, but we know 2 through 7 with those 6 or 7 picks that we have in those rounds, what we're probably going to target.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the game plan for what we need in the draft is pretty well established. It's just that the biggest question is whether or not, we're going to give Matt Ryan the Tom Brady, Drew Brees treatment, or if we're just going to scratch him and start new.
Is he going to get the Alex Smith treatment?
Well,
1 year. You got 1 year in front of this guy, and then you're done.
that's a little different though, because Matt Ryan is a lot better than Alex Smith. I mean, yeah. I mean, so it's all contingent on that. I mean, my personal opinion is still that I think that Matt Ryan. I don't think Matt Ryan grows on trees, and I'm not sure if any of these quarterbacks in this class are going to be as good as him. But
yeah. I mean, what are you thinking, Micah?
I think, yeah, I kind of agree. I agree with you as far as 2 through 7. We, for the most part, we know where we're going. We don't know, maybe not the exact pick who we're getting, but we know the certain positions that they're going to try to target in rounds 2 through 7. That first pick, like you said, is a toss up. I don't know if quarterback is. I don't know if they'll go quarterback with that first pick. Unless they can't, they can't pass up on somebody or something changes and Justin Fields is there and you're just like, we can't pass him. But hopefully I really don't want them to go the Drew Brees route with Drew Brees and Tom Brady route with Matt Ryan. I'm kind of Belichick-y on that. It's like, get what you
went that route with Tom Brady for a long time. So
yeah, but that was a lot that had to do with Robert Kraft. And Robert Kraft loved Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So he tried to move off of him, and
4 or 5 years ago he tried to.
And Belichick and Kraft was like, no, this is my guy.
Kraft saved his ass because he would have had Garoppolo taking snaps back there.
I mean, but still, I mean, he if he lived or died by it, but that's his philosophy. He gets rid of players before the wheels fall off. Versus, the Saints rode Drew Brees until the wheels literally fell off, and he was barely could get the ball downfield at the end of last season. So, and he got banged up the last 2 seasons.
That would be Drew Brees retired at what, 42, 41?
41.
Matt Ryan is 37.
35.
30, 35. He'll be 36. He'll be 36 this year. The difference is hadn't aged quite as well as them, though, in my opinion. You didn't see chinks in the armor for either one of those guys.
So let's be real. Was Drew Brees not having three-peating 7 and 9 seasons at this point in his career?
Yeah, but that was more of a lack of talent thing, not just.
Was it?
Yes, it was. They weren't very good, and they rebuilt that entire roster, and that's when the trajectory changed.
They had amazing drafts from those 7 and 9, those 3 7 and 9 seasons. They just nailed just about every draft pick.
Yeah, but versus with us, we have the talent, but then you see games like the Chargers game where it was just like, bro, you can't. Like, very rarely did you see Brees or Brady have games like that where it was just like, bro, I don't know what you're doing. Like,
I don't know. Brees had quite a few, and
he sure did against us as well.
Yeah, but I mean, just throwing right to people. I mean,
right
like
to Debo.
Right.
Like this year, I think this year alone, Matt had 4 games where he didn't throw a single passing touchdown. He had 4 or 5 games where he iced the game with an interception. And
we talked about this. I think it was like 3. It was like 3 games.
It was more than that.
Cost us the game, I think.
Well, not directly, but not necessarily like the Packers game. We didn't really have a shot to cut. We were down by 2 scores, but he threw the pick that iced the game where it was just like, yeah, we can't come back now.
The chart, and then the Bears game, I think.
Bears,
the Chargers game for sure.
There were a couple more, but I mean, I would have to go back and look.
Remember, our guy was in the chat debating us, and we had We went through and found each game that he actually cost. It might have been like 4 games that he cost.
Yeah. But there is an obvious regression there. And
speaking of that guy, where is Taylor? He's never in the chat anymore.
I mean, maybe. Well, I know he's trying to build his Twitch and whatnot, but or maybe we just got too too liberal for him. I don't
Taylor,
know.
if you're still out there and you're listening, we miss you, man. Come back to the streams.
But I do think, like I said, I just hope we don't try to expect him to play till he's 40, like some of these other teams, because we could. I just don't think he's aging as well.
I just think that, as I've said before, I don't think it's necessarily the fact that, Matt Ryan is regressing as anybody does when they get older. I mean, we saw that from even Tom. But at the end of the day, when the coach is competent, they know how to use what he does well.
Yeah, but
he can play that extra.
Here's
hold on, Mike,
but
let him finish.
I mean, so he can play that extra 4 years and not be put in positions where they're putting the whole game on his shoulders and being like, okay, Matt, go win this for us. And then he's like, pick. You know what I mean?
Here's the one thing I will say. What I do notice that's different with him and Drew Brees and Tom Brady is they got rid of the football. They reduced the number of hits on themselves, because if it wasn't there, they threw it away. Matt will hold on to the ball to the absolute last minute to try to make a play, and he takes so many
on him.
But the pressure was on Brady and Brees too. At the end of the day, their mindset is, I can do more by getting rid of the football and keeping myself up and living to fight another dime.
Those two people, obviously they're all-time greats and they're better than Matt. You could easily argue that they're better than Matt. But at the same time, they also had, it's not even an argument how much better their coaches were than any coach Matt Ryan's ever had.
But at the same time, it's a self-preservation.
Besides Shanahan.
It's a self-preservation that they have that Matt doesn't have. Matt will put his body on the line to make a big play. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does break you down a lot faster. And that's why I don't think he's going to have the life, as long of a career as those two guys, because he's taken way more hits than either one of them have. And that's all I'm saying. It's like, he's been beat to hell. And is it all his fault? No. But he does take a lot of hits that he doesn't have to take, because he'd rather make a play. He's trying to force a big play when it's just like, bro, just get rid of it.
I think there's one important factor that you're failing to mention here that has played a heavy role in why Matt looked like he did, that you're mentioning. A lot of the things that you said Matt's doing, and that's Dirk Cutter, man. Like he ran a vertical system, which causes Matt to hold onto the ball a lot longer. It doesn't play into the strengths of Matt Ryan. Because if you look back to the season before Dirk Cutter took over with Sark, when everyone was like, oh, Sark's got to go, Matt had a 35 touchdown, 7 interception season. Like, it just wasn't playing to his strengths. And I get it, Matt is also getting older. But I will have to see Matt in another West Coast offense with motion, with movement, and with rollouts, which is what we know Matt Ryan's strength is, and see how he performs this year and maybe next year to really judge and say, okay, Matt,
he's done.
Yeah, Matt's done. Because I think you could see Matt Ryan come out again and have a 30-10, 32-10, 12, maybe even less single-digit interception season in this system, because we're going to run the ball and we're going to scheme guys open, and we already have good guys. We know that much.
All right. Even that freak season where every pass he thrown was getting bobbled and picked off.
Oh my God.
That that wasn't
was it
on
like
him
7 interceptions that weren't on him?
Yeah.
He's really had one he's really had one unacceptable season. Like, just completely like, we need to get rid of this fool in the last 5 years.
15 too. But here's the thing.
The last 5.
I'm not critical I'm not criticizing him is for I know Dirk Cutter had a lot to do with it, but my like the Saints game, the eight sacks, probably 5 of those when he saw that there was no one open, he had opportunities, just throw the ball into the dirt, live to fight it. That's what Brady, those are things that Brady and Breeze did to help extend their career. Cause it's like, if there's nothing open, there's not going to be anything open. Let me throw it away, live to fight another down. And like there were like, but like I said, he's sitting there holding on to the football. Somebody, come on, somebody get open.
I mean, like, the play Dirk's in his ears talking about it was open, Matt.
You got
like I just think, like I said, it's not necessarily, and I don't think that it's not that he doesn't have anything left in the tank. My thing is, I don't want to lean on him, and then it's like you've seen the superstars that fall from grace, and then and finally you get to that last season and just like, bro, this dude is horrible now. And that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want to hold him so long to the point where his arm pretty much falls off and he's looking like what's his name from Miami, Ken Dorsey, throwing the ball into the dirt.
Another Ken Dorsey reference. Another Ken Dorsey reference.
He's like your Samaki Walker.
Yeah, honestly.
Hey, because he's one of the weakest arm quarterbacks I've ever seen.
But Micah, like, I get what you're saying. I get you're holding him to that standard of Brady and Breeze, and I get it. Hold on. It's my turn. It's my turn to talk. Like, as you should hold your guys against the guys who do it the best. Hold them against that standard because you want them to do that too. That's like saying, like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison for the NBA would be, because Tom Brady is Jordan. Jordan is Tom Brady. They're goats in their respective sports. But like, Matt Ryan is a really, really good quarterback, but he's not in those talks. He's not like ever going to be in those talks of being the greatest ever. He is good enough to win us a Super Bowl. He can, obviously win MVPs, and he'll win one every now and then. But like, who would y'all say a direct comparison in the NBA? They're like a star, sometimes can flirt with superstar type of performances.
It has to be someone who, like,
maybe Chris Paul.
But Chris Paul never made it to the championship.
Yeah. Like,
because I was gonna say Steve Nash, but he never made
puts up really good numbers. Like, is he Harden? Like, he's got more 4,000 yard seasons.
He's not a quitter like Harden, honestly.
Yeah.
Harden be quitting.
I wouldn't say he quits, but he
dude
chokes.
quits.
He chokes when it's on the line.
Bro.
Hold on.
He quits.
I actually found something earlier today that I screenshot for this very reason. Let me pull that up. Where'd it go?
He did that. I mean, and I hate to call Kobe a quitter, but he did that Kobe thing in that one series where he didn't even shoot. It was an elimination game, and he didn't even shoot the ball. Yeah. To me, that's quitting.
I thought I had it. I didn't get it.
But
let me think. There has to be like Dirk.
Yeah.
Without a championship.
Oh, Harvey said Gordon Hayward.
Okay. But I mean, Gordon hasn't done as much as me.
But he's never really been elite statistically.
Well, this year he's doing really well, but
yeah, but I mean, as far as here's the thing.
Very quickly.
Statistically, Matt will probably wind up being top 5 in almost every category. So, and that's part of the reason why I hold him to such a high standard. A lot of our Falcons fans love to blame everyone on the roster but him when we lose. And it's like, I get it. I get it.
You can't say Falcons fans do that in general because there's a huge contingency of them.
No. I said a lot.
Like Reggie Miller.
I said a lot of our Falcons fans.
I like that comparison.
A lot of our Falcons fans. I'm just saying, like, they get mad if anybody is critical of him, and they never. Oh, it's always the offense. They always say it's the offensive line or the defense. He's never had a top 10 defense, and it's like, well, one, You
But
know,
hold on, Mike. You're using a fan base that we all know is not very well informed about football.
I'm just saying in
Like,
general.
we don't
though,
say those things, so you
in
don't have to
general,
be
like
careful.
so. But I mean, statistically, he's going to be up there with Brady and Breeze, or not necessarily as high as them, but close. So, you know, and a lot of people point to his numbers. Oh yeah, look at his numbers. And so it's like, you know, with as consistent as he's been statistically, I hold him to a higher standard.
Here we go. I found it. I found the thing. So you guys can't see it, obviously, but it's career passer rating by quarter, and it's Matt Ryan compared against Tom Brady. So Matt Ryan in the first quarter has a career passer rating of 102.6 to Tom Brady's 97.7. Second, it's 94.2 to 99.1. Third, it's 97.8 to 97.3. Fourth, it's 85.3 to 94.3.
There's the difference.
Yeah, it's the fourth quarter, man.
But that's always been one of my criticisms of him.
Yeah, he's not necessarily a
he
closer.
he doesn't finish games strong, and
I like Reggie Miller.
Yeah,
but we've put so much on his shoulders. We've made him the face of the franchise, and that's part of the reason why my frustration is like, let's not ride this man into the ground. Let him go out on a high note, and you know, start to look for someone else, and then groom someone in the process to take over, so you don't just fall completely out of contention as soon as he's done.
I mean, I'm not against that. I'm not necessarily saying we should keep Matt Ryan until he's, you know, gray in the hair and fit in 45 or whatever. But at the same time, I do think that, you know, that fourth quarter pressure, you know, it looks bad on his accord. But at the same time, you got to look at the teams he's been on and the things that have happened around him, and how much, like, never having a running game, like you said, never being able to sack the quarterback, defenses straight off the field. As soon as they're on the field, they're right back off the field. You know, and then even his picks, like, it's just like, it's always inadvantageous situations for him in the fourth, just because it's never a good situation. So if we establish a different culture where it's like, okay, don't worry, the fourth is coming. We got a way to manage this fourth quarter, and we're not just gonna so no, God, we're not gonna Chris Paul this fourth quarter.
Imagine having three running backs that you can count on to put him in there. Like, if we somehow manage to get Najee or, you know, somebody, and you can say Najee, Mike Davis, who knows what Quadre is going to be, or, you know, throw Cordero back there for some trick plays.
Sark's first season, were Freeman and Tev healthy, or was it just Tev?
I think
Tevin.
Yeah. No.
And even
Freeman,
in that season, we were able to make it to the playoffs with, you know, because
Right.
Tevin was a solid, consistent running back. And Sark, even though it was generic, he stuck to that.
Well, here's the thing. Freeman, that first season, Freeman played most of the season, but he missed like 3 or 4 games, I want to say, because an ankle injury.
Yeah.
And Tevin didn't have to carry the load. But then that second season, Sark was there, and Tevin became the primary running back because Freeman was hurt. Then you started to see the flaws in Tevin's game, and it was just like, oh crap!
He just run into brick walls.
Well, yeah, it's like this guy has no field vision. He's just hit the hole and go,
run straight.
Yeah,
you put one finger out. He's like, oh.
Like, honestly, God, he could not run through any tackle.
He tripped over blades of grass. Like,
like, damn, Tevin, he went down hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and finish your statement. I'm sorry.
Oh no, my biggest thing is I don't want to have another Packers. Well, I don't think it'll be Packers Brett Favre. I don't think he'll do what Brett Favre did to the Packers, but it's just like, you know, you just don't want to hold on to him too long. I do think we need to start looking towards the future while he's still got some years left in him.
Aaron Rodgers is Steph Curry. I think that's a pretty fair comparison.
I more think Mahomes is Steph Curry, but.
Ooh, yeah. I can see that.
But I mean, I either way. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was. It's
Who
like
is
they're the
Aaron
same
Rodgers,
guy.
Kyrie,
Yeah.
or KD? KD.
Well, actually, Aaron Rodgers with his aloofness might be like Kyrie.
Aaron Rodgers, Manu Ginobili. No, just
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So I'll say this: we're 7 days away from the draft. The first round of the NFL draft will be next Thursday. The Falcons actually announced they are doing a draft party, a draft viewing party, but it's at Atlantic Station.
Ew.
So I was like, nah, I'm good. And if we're not going, into the stadium where it's spread out,
I'm surprised because they're about to have 20K people there for Atlanta United.
yeah, that's why I thought it was very weird that they're, wait, actually, let's see. United.
It's like bring the draft party back.
Let's see if United's playing there that day. Nope, they're not. So I don't know why it's not in the stadium. That would have been nice, but we will be doing a live show that day, watching the draft. You can jump in and discuss it with us. Talk about picks that are going on. We'll do it. I think I may have found a way to do a live ticker at the bottom of our screen, so we can have something running like that the whole time. Obviously we won't be able to show you the draft because we don't want to get copyright strikes against us.
The NFL feds come after us.
Yeah, we'll do our best to show you what we can. We'll maybe find some type of internet stream that's something, but we'll bring something up for you and we'll talk about it. If not, you can just look at our faces the whole time and we'll bring up things. But Marco, I don't know if you're going to be a part of this. I know you've said you might or may not, but we'll be doing our mock draft episode pretty soon here. It's either going to be this weekend or
Can't do it next weekend.
well, definitely not. Look how accurate our picks were. We nailed it.
Knew it.
Yeah, we'll be putting it up somewhere in the next 7 days.
Oh man,
We may even do one. We'll probably do one Monday, Tuesday. Do y'all want to record on Tuesday as well, or do y'all just want to wait till Thursday next week for the live thing?
don't matter to me.
All right.
Yeah.
All I know is if we trade down to 15 and get Tevin Jenkins, I would not be mad.
If we trade down to 15, we'll be able to get Tevin Jenkins at the back end of the first by trading back in. Get
Possibly.
Najee at 15 because Najee's not making it past the Steelers. They've already let that be known.
Yeah.
If he's there for them, they're taking him.
God,
So bad.
I would love to get Tevin Jenkins though.
Pause.
I just want to see Tevin Jenkins throw Cam Jordan somewhere. Just
Man.
yeah,
God,
get out of here. Yes.
Boy, Tevin Jenkins would be a dream come true. Just a mean offensive lineman.
Yes.
But all right, let's go ahead and take a break. That was a pretty long first half, almost 2 hours long. Then we'll come back, talk some basketball, talk a little bit of baseball, and then we'll get out of here. So just hang tight and we'll be right back. All right. Pause recording. I'm going to get some water and then I'll be right back. everybody. Welcome back from the break. Sorry that took a little bit longer than expected. Marco, it's your time to shine.
Okie dokie. It's time for the layup, a.k.a. the finger roll, a.k.a. Jelly time, a.k.a. points in the paint. So, I want to start, the news just came down that Kentucky star was just in a fatal car accident. Kentucky star Terrence Clarke, he was just 19. He just passed away in an accident. He was with his Kentucky team at Boston. What was his name, Mike?
Brandon Boston. He actually survived. So, I just want to take a second to say rest in peace to him. And also, it's not basketball related, but for the culture, Shock G has also passed away. So we've lost DMX, Black Rob, and Shock G in the past 2 weeks. You know how they say they pass in threes, and you wish that's not true, but it appears that it's held true. So, and hold on. First thing, for those who don't know who Shock G is, if you've ever heard of the Humpty Dance, that's that guy.
Or if you like Tupac, he's the one who gave him his career pretty much.
Shock G, the one who put the satin on your panties.
So let's just have a quick 5-second moment of silence for these guys. All right, so basically, we started. Usually we do this on Tuesdays, so some of this news is at the beginning of the week, but it's still relevant for today. And the first sort of topic that we want to talk about is the fact that Chris Paul has been getting some, nods in the conversation for MVP. And whether or not you agree with that, you have to admit that him getting this Phoenix Suns team that last year was just, there was a flash in the pan when they were in the bubble and undefeated. He has managed to boost them all the way to a number 2 seed from just a team with potential. And obviously this is a common theme in his career, as he 2 years prior, he was helping lead the Houston Rockets to the Western Conference Finals. The year after that, he led a neophyte Oklahoma City team who everybody thought was going to be the worst team in the league to a 6th or 7th seed, 6th or 7th seed. So Chris Paul is amazing. And the Suns sort of look like contenders. So I want to ask y'all, how much of this, since they were already sort of budding, I want to ask y'all how much of this is due to Chris Paul's veteran leadership, and then after you answered that, how much of a chance do you really what is the ceiling? Sort of like we did with Utah a couple weeks ago. What is the ceiling of this Suns team, especially when it comes to competing with teams like the Clippers and the Lakers? Or the Jazz, who are the number 1 seed right now. So what is your take on this team and their impressive season so far?
Michael, you want to take it?
I'll take it.
Oh, Mike.
One, I think that they were they were blossoming in the bubble. I think they finally started to put some things together and started to figure out chemistry and how they should play. I think the experience of Chris Paul helps. The veteran leadership, it helped kind of develop players. He can teach them some things on how to win. But what's the ceiling? I don't trust Chris Paul in the playoffs. Every time, he always comes up short in the biggest moments, despite the fact he says those are the moments he lives for. So, I don't see Western. No, well, I can't say that I don't see Western Conference Finals. I think they can, depending on the matchups. Considering Denver took the huge blow with Jamal Murray tearing his ACL. That's going to hurt them in as far as the 7-game series. But a healthy Lakers team and a healthy Utah team I don't know if they can beat either one of them. And I mean, Clippers are tossed up. You don't know what Clippers team you're gonna get with Pandemic
Paul
P.
George,
Yeah, with Pandemic P, you don't know what you're gonna get. So,
I mean, you pretty much nailed it. Like the Suns aren't going to go as far as Chris Paul can take them. The Suns are going to go as far as Devin Booker and Ayton can take them. Like Chris Paul is essentially that veteran third piece. He's a stabilizing piece at the point guard. You know, he plays good defense still. He makes good decisions. He gets his teammates shots by manipulating the defense with dribble penetration and just good passing. But, you know, I honestly feel like they could be a finals contender. Like it would not be shocking to me to see them in the finals. They're very good. They're very deep. They play good team basketball. They actually play pretty good defense now too. Like Devin Booker stepped up. You know, for those of y'all that have been listening long enough, y'all know that my biggest thing about Devin Booker was he was not a two-way player, but he's starting to at least try on the defensive end. He's not a liability anymore. He'll put a body on someone and he's not going to get torched. And I think that, you know, one, that's Devin Booker wanting to get better, but also having another guard next to you, knowing that you can trust in defensive, you know, switch situations and things like that helps tremendously, because you can't count on Ricky Rubio. You can't count on, you know, the litany of other.
Is Ricky Rubio there? Is he?
He was there last year.
Okay. I think he's in Minnesota now again, right?
Is he back in Minnesota? I don't know where he is.
oh God.
I think so.
If that's the abyss of basketball. No, nothing good ever happens in Minnesota.
Set him back to where it all started.
Let's see. Ricky Rubio is, for the Timberwolves. He's back on the Wolves.
God.
The team that picked two guards ahead of Steph Curry.
Yeah, but
Always
I mean,
will be remembered for that.
they're certainly good now. I mean, they're proven it. There's a reason they're the number one seed in the West right now. It's like, I get it, LeBron's out, but there's still some very good teams out West. So it's not like we can judge solely on the fact that LeBron and AD are out. I think they don't want to see the Lakers in a head-to-head matchup. I think the Lakers would beat them, but anybody else that can take the 7 and beat them.
Yeah. So I think I'll say it like this. I think that if Chris Paul didn't come to their team, they would probably be like a 5 to 8 seed this season, just because, like Micah said, we saw them budding. Getting together. Monty Williams, I think that's his name, is a really good coach. He puts an emphasis on defense. But what I think Chris Paul, I said this like with the way Nate McMillan has been coaching, I feel like Nate McMillan is the Chris Paul of coaching. It's like in the regular season, this dude is a dog. Like everybody wants to play for him. Like no one wants to let Chris Paul down defensively. He's like a great leader. Like he's just, you know, a great leader. Everybody wants to be accountable. And I think them being that number 2 seed and overachieving as they have is directly correlated with Chris Paul, because we've seen him be the catalyst for overachievement time and time again. What do I think their ceiling is? I think their ceiling is the Western Conference Finals. And I honestly think they're going to make it there and lose to the Lakers. I don't know how competitive that series will be, but I think that, you know, in terms of Utah, star for star, I'm taking Booker over Donovan Mitchell. I'm taking Chris Paul over, I don't even know who their point guard is. Who is the point guard on Utah?
Conley.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Mike Conley.
Yeah, Conley. I'm taking Chris Paul over Conley for sure. Ayton is soft, but he can score. You know, I'm like, and with team defense, I'm taking him over Rudy Gobert. The Clippers, I mean, they picked up Rondo, but at the end of the day, they're gonna struggle to score. Like, you know, Paul George. It's like they needed to do something to try to alleviate that pressure on Paul George, and they really didn't. So the chances are he's gonna come into this playoff again with a lot on his 3 or 4 years ago. Now he's like 5 for like 27. But I just think, the Clippers are going to struggle to score, and I think the Phoenix will be able to beat them in a 7-game series. And I have them in the Western Conference Finals.
Phoenix
personally,
is, let's see, defensive rate rankings. They're the number 6 overall. Oh, what? Here we go. Oh, wow, this updates by game. That's crazy that this is that live. So Phoenix is the number 6 overall defense in points allowed. Their weakness is they don't block many shots at all. They don't create many turnovers. Okay. Their defensive rating is 5th overall. So they don't really get many turnovers, but so that to me just says if you're that high, you play really sound team defense. You don't give up easy buckets. You're always in the right place.
Mm-hmm. What's the dude Bridges who comes off their bench? Or I'm not sure if he starts to come off his bench, but he's a really good multi-tool player. He can D up. He can hit a 3. He can play the passing lane. So I like that. I like that Phoenix team. So like I said, Western Conference Finals is my prediction for them. So moving on, Anthony Davis is actually back tonight. He ended his 30-game hiatus from his, I think he had Achilles soreness or something like that. And he returns to the matchup tonight against the Mavs. In other power forward news, recently, our guy, I don't know if he's our guy, but LA, LaMarcus Aldridge, he was he came of age in Portland, became a stalwart in San Antonio. And, the last we heard of him, he was out here ring chasing in Brooklyn in a situation that really didn't make much sense because they had just picked up another power forward. So it really didn't make sense to begin with. But at any rate, he announced his retirement due to a heart condition it would be 2 weeks ago now. And this brings up 2 questions for me. First of all, how much does this really hurt the Nets' chances of, let's not say winning a championship, but making it to the finals? And then secondarily, is LaMarcus Aldridge a Hall of Famer?
No, he's not a Hall of Famer. He was like, if he would have gone to San Antonio and did what he was supposed to do, or if he would have stayed in Portland, yes. But, the fact that he left a situation where he was averaging like 24 to 26 points per game, 10 to 12 rebounds. He was a legit top 5, top 10 type of fantasy power forward in the NBA as far as production goes, and winning, because they were doing stuff with him out there. He certainly would have been. But to go to a system that, just lost a power forward who had a similar skill set to you but was superior to yours in each and every way.
Every single way.
I mean, it just proves that you're not that tier, because, Popovich knows how to use those type of players. Popovich can make a power forward who can, utilize the mid-game, make good passes, rebound, and play defense, and build around him. But LA just wasn't that. So, no, I don't think he is. I think he just exposed himself by going there.
I agree.
Go ahead.
I agree. He's not a Hall of Famer. It's his trajectory. It reminds me of Kevin Love, where, on a team where you're the star, you're putting up these huge numbers. And then when you get to another team where you're not the number one option, you just kind of fall by the wayside. Your numbers just aren't what they like. You don't progress. You just kind of like, this isn't the guy that I thought he was. And so, man, it is what it is. He's a good player, but no, not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I like your comparison there with Kevin Love, because minus that championship, it was almost the exact same thing where it's like, okay, Kevin Love is dominant. He's putting up all these numbers. But when you put him in a team setting where it's not just feed him the ball, he gets exposed for not really being good at the other facets of the game, like just being a rebounder, being a hustle guy, being a defender. He just didn't, those things didn't necessarily come together for him, or maybe he wasn't motivated to do it, or maybe that just wasn't a part of his game. But yeah, that's what happened with the San Antonio. It's like all he did was, he was almost a small forward. It's almost like he just took inefficient shots all the time. That was like his go-to. That was his game. And he might snag 10 rebounds, but it's like they weren't necessarily impactful rebounds. It was more so like, okay, let's just, But yeah, I like that comparison.
Honestly,
so
I feel like that's disrespectful to Kevin Love, man. Kevin Love, I would take Kevin Love over LA 10 times out of 10.
It's just I agree. I agree on that, but I think as far as like where Kevin Love is now, the frustrating thing is, even when LeBron was there, you could say LeBron kind of hurt Kevin Love's game because it forced him to stay away. It forced him to play farther away from the basket and be more of a spot up shooter. But now that there is no LeBron, the past 2 or 3 seasons, you would think he'd be closer to what he was in Minnesota, and he's just not that guy anymore. It's almost
quit. I feel like he just quit.
He didn't quit. He just moved away from the basket.
No, I mean he doesn't even play anymore.
Well, he's hurt. He's hurt a lot. He's hurt a lot, but
he's hurt mentally. He's not actually.
But I mean, you would
for like 4 years.
You would think that now that you don't have a LeBron there who pretty much his game it revolves around penetration and kicking the ball out. You would think that he'd be more aggressive and do a lot of what he did in Minnesota, where he was an absolute beast on the boards and offensive boards, and that's how he scored a lot of his points. But it's like it's just like he's comfortable standing at the 3-point line, just like, all right, well, do your thing. I'm just gonna stand out here chilling.
That dude in Minnesota was a monster. Go ahead, Ryan. What were you saying?
I said that's what they ask him to do, though. I mean, he can't just sit down in the paint and clog the lane, which is not what the game is anymore. So the fact that he couldn't adapt and do it, but where LA couldn't adapt.
I'll say this though. So Kevin Love, where value for value, Kevin Love was definitely a better player than LaMarcus Aldridge because he can shoot threes. I mean, he had a really good post game when he was in Minnesota just because he was so big. Like he was a lot bigger than when he started hanging out with LeBron or whatever. But at least LA didn't just stop playing though. I mean, where the hell's Kevin Love been? Like that dude's a quitter. I know ever since
he's played 15 games this season. He got hurt this season, but he played.
He's hurt every season. What are his stats this year? Like 10 points?
This year, 11.7 and 6.6.
How many games has he played?
15.
Yeah,
he's played half their games.
But
let me look back at the last couple of years.
Well, less than half because
they 56 the year before. He averaged 70.
60.
Not terrible. 22 games the year before that, 59, 60. Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't play enough.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, my thing is, even I'm not talking about necessarily just clogging the lane. I mean, but like Tristan Thompson in that offense, he didn't play. He couldn't stand by the lane, but he was aggressive with following shots. He got off. He battled for boards and stuff. So he made he played a role. But it's like now that it's like once he played with LeBron and got comfortable standing at the 3-point line, he was no longer that guy who followed shots up and battled on the offensive boards like he used to in Minnesota. It was just kind of like, no, I'm a 3-point shooter now. He became Josh. He phased out to a Josh Smith role basically, and it's just like I'm good. I don't feel like banging no more. I just want to stand out here for a while.
Yeah, but an effective Josh Smith.
Well, he can shoot a lot better, but I don't think there's a single person in this chat who could shoot a less than what Josh Smith did at the 3-point line. But I mean, I just thought I felt like when he legitimately was the biggest name on that team. And he didn't try to go back to some of the things that made him successful in Minnesota. He was just like, nah, I'm content just standing out here now.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I didn't mean this to become about Kevin Love, but I don't know. There's just something about ever since he started with his whole mental wellness campaign. I feel like he just hasn't played as much, and not to say that we should. I'm not gonna call him soft or anything. But That man's
But-
soft.
I'm not gonna call him soft, but he's soft.
But I will say one thing. You mentioned you kind of glossed over the Anthony Davis thing. I never in my life before this season would have ever guessed that Kawhi would play more games than both Anthony Davis and LeBron this season. Never would have thought it. Never would have thought. I figured he was going to figure out some way to take 30 days off, and I got COVID 4 times. I got had to quarantine for 17 weeks. But yeah, like this LeBron ankle injury, it's like it didn't look horrific, but
It wasn't.
dude is like he's been out for like a month almost already.
I mean, you saw Trae's injury. Like Trae had he couldn't even stand. LeBron literally like got hurt. Shot a three just to keep his double-digit scoring thing alive, and then went back. it's like our dude couldn't even walk, and he's probably gonna be back in 3 weeks.
They're talking about LeBron's still out for another 2 weeks or so. I'm like,
Right.
God,
Like, what is he doing?
what did he do?
That
Yeah,
high
man,
ankle
like-
sprain when you're that big, man, that's rough.
Was it a high ankle sprain?
Yeah, it was, but it's
Well,
still.
I mean,
it
trust
didn't
me,
look that severe,
I've-
and the fact that he could still put pressure on it right after.
Now, granted, I'm much bigger than LeBron, and I've had high ankle sprains. I know they suck, but yeah, it's just
2
like
months.
it didn't look. Yeah, it didn't quite. I've seen high ankle sprains that really, really look bad, and it was just like, okay, they're out a month and a half, 2 months. I can understand that, but it was like his ankle turned out a little bit, and it was like, all right, I know it hurt, but I think I figured he'd be back. I figured he'd be back in 2-3 weeks tops. But
Right. It's really just the ability to still put weight on it after, to me, is usually a strong indicator of what kind of injury it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of times if you have like you said, Trace was grade 2. A lot of times grade 2, grade 3s, you can't stand. Like you cannot put any pressure on it. LeBron looked fine. Like he walked back with his own power. So to me, this is really just a LeBron is resting for the playoffs type of thing. And
He's getting that
AD
rest
was a
that
little
he
bit more
missed.
serious. Yeah, get that resting because I mean he was the champion at the end of the day. So, but AD is a little bit more of a because I mean you don't want to play around with an injury like that because he almost had
Achilles.
a KD type injury. So, yeah, I understand them not having him out there.
Especially at that size, man. It's so easy to rupture that Achilles.
Yeah, and especially someone who moves as well as he does, and he's so explosive and shifty, and yeah, you need all the rest he can get. Especially with the way the NBA has done their schedule this year is ridiculous. They should have just done 50 games or something. Like, I don't even what they're putting these players through. I mean, I know they're mega millionaires, but
Elite
like,
athletes.
right, it's definitely decreasing the quality of the product. But moving on. So on Monday, Steph Curry was he broke Kobe Bryant's record, and it was crazy because I feel like this, for some reason or another, this like incident transcended just sports. I was like hearing them talk about it on like rock stations and stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, look what Steph Curry did. Like do y'all even know who that is?
96.1 Power Rock FM.
Right.
Steph Curry breaks the 3-point record.
Right. So it's like, so basically the record he broke was the streak of most 30-point games by a player over 30. Kobe was holding it at 10. Previously, before Kobe, it was Jordan who had done it twice, 7 times. He was at 7. He did it twice. So Steph got to 11. Unfortunately, the next game he put up 19 and lost to the Wizards. But I mean, to his credit, the Wizards I think have won 6 in a row, so they're surging right now. So 2 questions on that. If Curry manages to get like say a 6th seed this year, should he be in the conversation for MVP this season?
Hell yeah. This is like the equivalent of that A-Rod on the Texans MVP type of thing. Like, you can have great seasons on bad teams. At least, did the Texans make the playoffs that year?
The Rangers?
The Rangers,
yeah. Sorry, yeah.
No.
Yeah. So even if he doesn't, you can be because he is the only reason that team has over 10 wins.
Right.
Kelly Oubre.
Seriously.
Kelly Oubre is trash. Andrew Wiggins is trash. Like James Wiseman's out. Like
Draymond, trash.
Draymond, like the greatest defender of all time, trash.
Garbage.
So,
Garbage, man.
Kent Bazemore, like that brick he shot the other day. I was just like, "Yep, I remember that."
Yeah, we remember this. He started
It's funny though. I was telling my coworker, I said that move that Andrew Wiggins put on that guy last night and airballed the shot. I was like, that was the perfect summation of Andrew Wiggins' career. this bright potential. You see everything come together. It's like, oh yes, and then it just fails. It's like, oh my God.
I will give Andrew Wiggins one thing though. He is turned into. He should be All NBA first team this year because every player he's defended, he's locking them down. Like that game he had against Beal, he held him to like 19 points or something like that. Like. No, he's been doing his job defensively, but I think that's like the Golden State because even when KD went there, he suddenly became this elite defender. So maybe it's something to do with that.
But yeah, should he be in the running? Absolutely. I mean, like he did what Greg Jennings did in that classic video. I put the team on my back though, and he has been carrying this very wildly mediocre roster to playoff contention. Now, granted, yeah, they're in what 9th seed right now, but even still, even if they get in the playing game, I was talking to somebody and I said if they get in the playing game, I said whoever they play. If Steph is playing the way he is, you might be in trouble. Mm-hmm. I mean, because they could potentially run off in a one game playoff. He could just get hot, put up 50, and then you want and putting out who's the 7th seed right now?
In the West.
Yeah, Dallas is the 7th seed.
Yeah, if he messes around and get hot, he could put out like a Dallas, and it's a scary thing. So I think he should definitely be in the running for the MVP. Now, do I think he'll win it? Probably not, just because their record is so bad. But I mean, honestly, Embiid right now because they're doing so well. So Embiid might be the front runner because he's balling, and the Sixers are winning the Eastern Conference. So
true.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's a lot of my headset's going dead. There's a lot of oh my goodness gracious, a lot of candidates coming out of the East this year that could really do something special. So, hold on, gentlemen. Don't talk. Bryce damn killed my headset earlier. Now I got to change the settings. All right, say something.
Yep.
All right, there we go. We're good.
Yep. So, yeah. So, the next question. Oh, I was just gonna say. Oh, yeah. You said the East, but I mean, it's really just Embiid because other than Embiid, it was Harden, but he's been hurt.
Giannis is still in the running too.
Isn't really an Embiid. They have voter fatigue now.
Well, I mean, he's still technically in the running because the Bucks are still in the 3 seed, and he's putting up consistent numbers.
True. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're still them. And then, I mean, in the West, you got Jokic and Chris Paul and maybe someone. I don't think they're not going to give the what's it called any love. The Jazz aren't getting any love from MVP candidate. So my other question, the bonus question, a part of this was, so just thinking back to the season that Russell Westbrook made history and recorded the first triple-double since Oscar Robertson and won the MVP. What team was better? This team that Steph is on right now, or that team that Russell Westbrook had in 2016-17?
God, oh man, that's tough.
Let me read you some of the players who are on that team.
Name wise, just based off names, I would say Steph
is a better team.
Just off the names.
Well, let me read you some of the players. Okay, so now that I'm looking at it, it's almost okay. So you had Alex Abrinas, that wasn't good. Steven Adams, you had Norris Cole, you had Nick Collison, who was just a bench warmer. That's what Kevin Love has become, Nick Collison of the Cavs. That's pretty much what he's become. You had Taj Gibson, you had Jeremy Grant, a young Jeremy Grant. You had Enes Kanter, you had Doug McDermott, Dougie Buckets, Victor Oladipo. You had Cameron Payne, Andre Roberson, Domantas Sabonis, Kyle Singler, and Russell Westbrook. So I don't know.
I was gonna say OKC. It was the better unit because they even like everybody's more productive. But if you in the past, like last year, Wiggins and Oubre were much better players than they are this year. They've just fallen off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened. Draymond, I mean, he's regressed offensively every season. It's just like now it's to the point he might not shoot. He might go a full game and not shoot the ball. He's like that point guard that will drive all the way to the paint just to kick it out to somebody, like wide open layup. Nope. Pass. Give me my assist. So I mean, yeah, I say OKC.
Yeah, I mean it's not even close. That OKC team was far better. They had more veterans. They had savvy players. They had Russell Westbrook. That Russell Westbrook and this Steph Curry. Like I know they play different. It'll be like statistically, it's a wash there, and then everything around it like. Enes Kanter is a damn good center. Like they have Domantas Sabonis on the bench.
Yeah, this team was stacked.
With
young talent at least.
So are you saying that Kent Bazemore isn't quality veteran? Isn't a quality veteran?
That's exactly what he's saying. But yeah, they had Jeremy Grant, Victor Oladipo, and Domantas Sabonis, three guys who would go on to average 20 points per game. Yeah, that's crazy. And Dougie Buckets ain't no joke. Yeah, so I guess it's unanimous. OKC was definitely a better team. So that to say, if Steph gets like a 7 seed, which I think that OKC team was when Russell Westbrook won the MVP, there should be serious consideration. Moving on. So recently, KD was on BS Sports. I'm not going to say the name of that. On a podcast hosted by Gilly the Kid and his brother or cousin or whatever he is, Rollo. And they asked him who were the top 5 teammates that he had played with in his career. And he stated the top 5 in this order, not just generally. He said Kyrie, James Harden, Steph, Clay, and then Serge. And then Rollo got really messy. He was like, wait. Did you forget somebody? And then Kevin Durant was like, oh, my bad, blah, blah, blah. At first he was like, who did I forget? And he was like, oh. And then there were Gilly and him were like, we were about to say, are you tripping right now? So then he corrected his list and he put Westbrook at 4 and bumped Serge off and put Clay at 5. So my questions are, did he intentionally leave Westbrook off this list or did he genuinely forget about him? And then I want you to rank for me in order of goodness or greatness his teammates.
Did he intentionally leave him off? Yeah, he's petty enough to do it because him and,
Yes.
and Westbrook have definitely gone back and forth on the court. And you know, like, you know how they say an elephant never forgets, man. A snake never forgets neither. Like, they
Right.
remember everything. He remembers you. He remembers all those times you pointed at him and got in his face. But as far as greatness goes, in order that he's played with, I'm going to go Steph 1, Harden 2, Kyrie 3, Clay 4, Serge 5.
No Westbrook?
I don't like Westbrook, but no, yeah, I'll put Westbrook 5 over Serge. But yeah.
Micah.
I mean, I'll say pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I think he intentionally left him off. There's a reason he's not a fan of Russell Westbrook, and Russ, you can tell Russ isn't a fan of his.
Right.
Like you know, the reason Russ went 3 consecutive seasons triple doubles just to prove I'm better without you.
Right.
You know, it's like the ex-boyfriend is just trying to prove. See, I'm doing so much better without you now. Look at me. Look what I'm doing. But if I had to rank them, I would say Steph at 1, Harden at 2, Kyrie at 3, Clay and Russ at 5.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with y'all wholly on this, that he definitely left him off intentionally. I mean, like, there's no way after all they've been through that he could possibly. He probably thinks about Russell Westbrook every day. But then, and I'd also pretty much tend to agree. I honestly, I agree with your list wholly. I don't know though, between Kyrie and Clay, I don't know if it's as clear cut. I do think Kyrie is probably the best purely offensive player, you know, on that list in terms of his bag and his ability to get over and like hit shots like Kobe and whatever. But obviously Steph and James Harden are more valuable. But then Clay, not only can he go off for 60 plus, but he plays defense. So I might have to take Clay before Kyrie. And then Westbrook last. And obviously I think he just put Kyrie and James first and second because he's playing with them now. There's no way he could think that they're both better than than Steph. The way that Steph like opened up that court for him and made everything so easy. Like, you don't really see that on this Brooklyn Nets team. They play well together, don't get me wrong, but as open, KD had it so easy on the Golden State Warriors. It was ridiculous.
I mean, honestly, like, I feel like KD blames Westbrook for their loss in the finals too.
In the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah,
or both?
In the finals.
Okay. Yeah, because he was taking all the shots.
Yeah. Like, I don't think he'll ever forgive him for that series. But
who was it? Was it Magic or was Isaiah during that series when they were literally like, I don't know what Westbrook is doing. He needs to pass the ball to KD.
Yeah, I remember that too. I don't remember who it was, but
then I think they sort of like changed their tune when he dropped like 36 or whatever. But they were like, but they were right. They hit the nail on the head at first. It's like, why is he not passing it to KD?
Like, Westbrook can put up as many points as just about anybody in the league, but he's going to do it in a manner similar to how Iverson did it by putting up tons of shots.
Yeah.
People are going to try and kill me for this. Like, I always thought like AI's game was hella overrated. Like, yes, he was small and he could get in the paint, he could finish crazily. He was insanely talented. But I don't know how many nights you would see his stat line. There's like 8 for 26, 35 points. It was like, yeah, he got to the line a lot, but he also, missed 18 shots getting there.
Shoot like 38% from the 3-point. I'm not even like 28% from the 3-point line.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're just inefficient.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was talking to Marco before we started. I was talking to him about my criticism of Russ. I said Russ plays basketball like a football player. He's super aggressive. He's temperamental. I said he doesn't have a touch. He never developed a jumper. Doesn't have touch when finishing around the rim unless he's dunking. He doesn't have a feel for the pace of the game, and I'm like, that's one of the most important things you need to have as a primary ball handler or a point guard is you have to have a feel for the pace of the game, when to slow it down, when to speed it up. It's just him, head down, go, hit the hole. And it's like, goodness gracious, bro, slow down. Like that, it blew my mind watching them last year in the playoffs because, down the stretch, them in OKC, it's like down the stretch, it's like, bro, slow down. And he's just driving to the basket, throwing up shots, hitting the bottom of the rim. And it's just like, bro, you got stuff by the rim, bro. Like, stop trying to force it, slow down and let the game come. I mean, it's like, bro, it's a close game. Slow down, eat time off the clock, and take the best shot. Just because you got to the lane doesn't mean it's the best shot, because you got 4 people around you and you're throwing the ball up like, see it finish. So, yeah. And, of course, we all know how the Lakers did them.
Right. I mean, yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's interesting, that point you brought up about AI is interesting because, like, just going back and looking at some of his stats, I mean, I don't remember hearing it much when he was playing just because people were so captured in his cult of personality. But the way that they sort of shit on Trae Young these days, like, I don't see how Allen Iverson escaped that criticism because he was getting to the line 10 times a game, but shooting a much worse percentage from the field and not efficient from 3. I mean, at least Trae might be around 42, 43% from the field, but at least he's like 36% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. I think AI was like low 80s. Like, he was left a lot of points on the table despite, putting up as many as he did. But I think that it's not to put down AI, but I think that the fact that people sort of criticize Trae Young for getting to the line when it's like, that's not something that's new. That's not like a new technique for scoring points. Like,
AI was a career 31% three-point shooter.
Yeah, terrible. What was his free throw?
Let's see. Free throws. 0%. He's 78.
Ew, he was chucking. He was chucking them up there. Like a 6-foot dude shooting, like small forward numbers from the free throw line. So, I mean, yeah. I tend to agree with you. AI was one of my favorite players, but I do tend to agree with you that he was sort of overrated. But he did manage to. It just goes to show you how important like a player like Clint Capella or Dikembe Mutombo that year was. That all you need is a high volume scoring, guard or wing and a shot blocker, and then a whole bunch of guys around him willing to play defense, like Eric Snow, who had no offensive game.
Eric Snow was so bad.
Aaron Lynch,
right? McKee, Aaron McKee.
My God. Aaron McKee, yeah.
What was that? Their power forward,
Tyrone Hill.
Yeah,
Looked like a gremlin.
And then they had Matt Geiger at center.
Bruh.
Right. But it's funny to think about. That Philly team was one of the first that used that 2 small guard set, and made it far. Well, not the first. Detroit obviously won championships with that, but moving on. So Vanessa Bryant and Kobe Bryant's estate have chosen not to renew their partnership with Nike due to a lack of availability of his shoes after his January 20th death. Bryant alleges that Nike was purposely limiting availability, staggering their sizes, and just not playing nice. Bryant says that she was hoping for a lifelong partnership, but with Nike, but what they were offered was far from it. This goes along with the story that leaked shortly after Kobe's passing that he was looking to leave Nike. Conspiracy theorist alert. I will admit that's one of the Nike having anything to do with one of the weaker conspiracies, but I could see it. But so what do y'all think is the move then? How do they keep putting Kobe's shoes out if Nike's not responsible for it? What do they do?
I mean, he apparently had to deal with someone. I don't know who, but like Kobe, that's what I'm talking about, had plans to leave Nike. He had already figured out the distributor. It was going to be like a Kobe shoe, like a Mamba shoe, just on its own, kind of like Big Baller brand, but with far more, far better track record behind it of being a good shoe and, being like
not exploding on the
like.
Yeah. I got to change my shoe every quarter.
That was like the worst marketing ever. Like, Ball, why are you changing your shoes every quarter? Oh, they don't last.
Man, gotta be careful with them crossovers. Oh man,
hit the bottom like Fred Flintstone. It was straight through the bottom of the shoe. But yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting. I mean, I hope that they do go forward and just pursue a whole brand from outside of that umbrella. Because I think it could do pretty well. Kobe still has a huge following.
Wait, what? Harvey just said Magic made Kobe. Prove me wrong.
Magic made Kobe. What do you mean? Magic didn't have shit to do with Kobe.
Right. How did?
I mean, if you say Jerry West, I'll give you a little bit more credit, but he still didn't make him.
Yeah, I don't know. There was like no crossover between the two ever.
Yeah, Magic had nothing to do with management.
Coaching and GMing.
He never GM'd. He never did anything with the Lakers through the whole period that Kobe was there winning championship. He was just a PR guy. I mean, he was like
unless he's talking about
ambassador.
But if anybody made Kobe, it was MJ.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take MJ or Jerry West. I'll take Shaq even,
right? Or
Phil. I'll take. There's 5 names I'll take before you can say Magic Johnson had anything to do with Kobe Bryant being great. Like that's ridiculous. Come on, Harvey.
But
hot stinky take.
The one person who made Kobe really is Kobe.
Yeah, like who worked as hard? Who was in the gym nonstop?
Jelly Bean.
Right, Jelly Bean. Yeah, he'll be the 5th name. He's the 5th name.
I actually made Kobe. He came from these loins.
Right. But yeah, I mean, Kobe was the hardest working. Like I'd say he probably even worked harder than MJ. Like he's probably one of the hardest working players to ever.
That year he packed on like 15 pounds of muscle, like just because he wanted to. I was like, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, so that's hot take. So moving on. Let's talk a little bit Hawks before we move on. So we lost again to the phony Knicks, the one season wonder, Julius Randle, just bullying us.
MVP Julius Randle.
MVP. You see him at the free throw line. He was like closing his eyes and embracing it like The Rock. He was like MVP. I mean, I do genuinely think though that this is like, I don't think Julius Randle will sustain this level of play, but I will give him credit for and Coach Thibodeau has done a really good job of making this a gritty. It's almost like this team reminds me of those old New York Knicks teams that I hated. That were just so gritty, grimy, and they would fight you, fight to the ball. Every time we play these dudes, someone gets hurt. But yeah, so the game was not the only thing we lost in the third quarter. While we had a comfortable lead, Trae suffered a rolled ankle after he missed a floater and was writhing in pain. You could even hear it on the broadcast. He was screaming a little high pitch. Oh! It's like, damn, Trae, you all right?
Who's letting some air out of the balloon?
Right, that's literally what it sounded like.
Wow, got him sound like a puppy.
like a little shot puppy.
Kicking a dog.
Oh man.
But so yeah, this is the second game we've lost to the Knicks due to an in-game injury. The last one, John Collins suffered a concussion, I think, in like the second quarter. So they were able to bully us to the tune of 50-26 run from the time Trae left the game. So my question for y'all is, are y'all concerned now about our seeding with Trae out for, an undetermined amount of time. I'm assuming probably at least 3 weeks. At least he might not even come back till the playoffs. Adding to our already tragic season of injuries, or do you think Bogey, Collins, and Capella, and throw Lemon Pepper Lou in there, are enough to keep us sub 6 in his absence?
I think I can't lie. I am somewhat worried about it, considering like when are we gonna get Gallo back? When is DeAndre Hunter? Is DeAndre Hunter going to come back? It's the way the number of injuries we had is going to be hard, and with Trae going down, that only means Brandon Goodwin is going to get more time.
Gotta hate Brandon Goodwin. He cannot make free throws. Like, what is up with this dude? Like, he's always missing free throws,
bruh. And that's the scary thing. That's what scares me. Now, granted, I think we could pull off, I think Nate is a good enough of a coach where we can stay afloat for the next few weeks, without Trae and Gallo and Hunter and Reddish and all those guys.
And Chris Dunn.
Oh, that ain't gonna happen. But I mean, honestly, at this point, if Chris Dunn could get healthy, I would love to see him on the floor
because he's scrimmaging again. They've cleared him to.
Okay, because at least he'd be better. He'd be more efficient than Brandon Goodwin is, because Brandon Goodwin is just all or nothing. Last night he was very much a nothing, and I think his minus was negative 20 something last night, and it was just bro. How? You were only in the game, for 15 minutes and you're negative 20? You look straight up liability, bruh.
Be goody. Let's see what it was. Yeah, negative 19.
And oh man, yeah.
He's 2 for 6, 18 minutes of play. 2 for 4 from the three. Should have shot more threes.
But I mean, considering most of our guys were negative, but he was just he had the worst plus minus out of everybody, and it was just bruh, this dude, this horrible. It's horrible watching him play. And like I said, I don't hate him, but it's just bro, we need a better, a more viable option now, especially now that Trae is going to be out for a while. You need somebody else you can trust, because Lou is best in that 6-man role or with limited time. He can't play he can't play 35 minutes like that anymore. So you need somebody else that you can at least trust to hold down the fort while Lou is not in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not terribly worried about it, because we saw when Trae went out those Train, those 3 or 4 games, and B Goody, he stepped up and played. I'm actually gonna send y'all a picture before I put it up.
I would have called him that, but to me he lost his nickname.
Send it in the Facebook chat real quick so y'all can see it before I actually display it for everyone. But we've got players that need to come back that we're waiting on, like DeAndre Hunter. Whenever he comes back, it's gonna be great. Chris Dunn, that's a good defensive point guard who can run an offense. He's not gonna blow anybody away. But I've got one question that really needs an answer. And let's see, let me bring it up for you guys here. I want to know where this man is. Where is Cam Reddish?
Killer count.
He was supposed to be out for a week or two.
Bruh.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's
a month and a half?
Longer than that, I feel.
It reminds me of but not I sent you that one earlier where they were talking about, Anthony Edwards was talking about who's the coldest high school player they ever faced, and it was unanimous, like Cam Reddish. And where's this guy been?
Well, I mean, he had an Achilles injury, so I think they've just been, being really careful about it. But I mean, when you watch them in games, like when John Collins was hurt and stuff, it'd be like John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, and then maybe like Snell. Not Snell. Where's Tony Snell at? Where the hell's he been at?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where
is everybody?
The bench. Like he's lost a lot of minutes
because he got hurt,
and
I think after he got hurt.
God, and that's another one.
Who? Oh,
Solomon Hill.
Oh yeah, Solomon Hill. I mean, he's been solid for what we're asking.
But I mean, offensively, you're not getting much from him.
Right. He hit one game. He hit 6 threes, and I don't think he's hit one since.
Like at least with Tony Snell, you knew you were going to get decent shooting. He shot fairly well, but Solomon Hill is like, all right, he can play defense, but 4 points, 5 points.
You cannot escape the law of averages in the NBA. It's like you do not just randomly have standout games and keep it going. It's like you always come back to the mean.
30 minutes, 5 points. Come on, man.
Right, but I mean,
Solomon Hill just looks like an LA Fitness guy.
He sort of does. He's like, if this is even possible, he's like a worse PJ Tucker. Like PJ Tucker minus the shooting. Like he can lock down. He can't lock him down, but he can put a body in front of a center. Like he probably did the best job against Julius Randle than anybody else. I mean, John Collins stood no chance. Like Clint Capella stood no chance.
I mean, he's too fast for Capella, too big for Collins.
Yeah, like I feel like we need DeAndre Hunter's like the only person on our team who could probably lock up Julius Randle effectively, or at least make him give up the ball. It's like that dude just does whatever he wants to do whenever he plays us. It's crazy.
Julius Randle is 6'8", 250, I think is what I heard earlier today.
He's not 6'10"?
Mm-mm. He was 6'8" or 6'9" because he wasn't like they said he was a little undersized for
so he's a little
that 4 role. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the way he makes John Collins look like a small forward. John Collins is not a small guy. But yeah, so Ryan, you said you're not really worried, and Micah, you said you're sort of worried.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm right in between that. I think we can. I'm not worried of us like. I'm sort of worried of us falling beyond that 6th seed, just because. I don't think we're going to fall out of to 9 or 10 or anything like that, just because, first of all, we have a lot of home games left. There's only 13 games left. The next 3 are the toughest. I think we played Miami, Milwaukee, and I think we might play Miami twice. But other than that, we got a lot of winnable games, just like the ones that you said when Trae was gone. I mean, we beat teams that weren't good, but there's going to be a lot of teams coming up that aren't good. So if we can just, goes. What would you think out of the 13 games? What do you think we need to go?
We got actually murderer's row down the stretch. We've got Heat, Bucks, Pistons, Sixers, Bulls, Blazers, Suns, Pacers,
holy
Wizards, Magic, Rockets. So the last 4 games of the season, we should win those. We're guaranteed at least 4 wins.
And our magic number is 6.
Yeah.
So if we could sneak, we should beat the Pistons, and we should beat the Pacers.
We should. We've split with the Pacers so far. We've beat the Wizards once very badly, so we can at least expect to split with them.
The Magic have blown their team up, so
yeah, we're gonna beat them, or maybe. I mean, we're it depends who's gonna be here.
I think if we win 8 of the last 13, which would mean potentially splitting with the Heat and the Sixers, and maybe stealing one other, like maybe the Suns, maybe see if you could steal like a game from the Suns or something.
Yeah, maybe they'll be rested.
Possibly. I mean, at this rate, I mean, because you said there were fourth game from the end.
Yeah, you said. I think.
Yeah, they were really late. They were really late in the season. They might be resting at that point. But I think if we win 8 of the last 13, I think we will finish 4 or 5, I believe. We'll definitely stay out of that
So that's
6
8
seed,
and
in my
7.
opinion.
That'd be 8 and 7.
But no. You said it's 13 games left, right?
So is my math wrong?
8.
Yeah, 8 and 5. Yeah.
Okay, that's optimistic.
It is optimistic, but it's not. I think it's not too far optimistic. It's not. I think it's doable.
Right.
It's just as long as Brandon Goodwin doesn't.
I think 6
Hell,
wins.
if Cam Reddish comes back, he can even run point.
Yeah, that's true. Chris Dunn.
I rather like you said, that was a good point about Chris Dunn isn't great, but he's a lot better than any other option we have at point guard right now. Yeah. So that will actually help us a lot if he could come back in. And Nate is the type of dude who likes to win these defensive drag outs. So I mean, that would be cool. I'd say 5 or 6 wins will be straight. We'll be able to stay in that 6th spot. But anything 4 wins, I think we're gonna fall. We're gonna fall to that 7th spot. But
I want the 4 seed
because I feel like Boston and Miami are probably definitely gonna catch up to us now.
DeAndre Hunter. Reddish is the farthest one away from returning. Even when he plays, there's no obvious path to fantasy. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, so like
he's done for the season.
And that's what it sounds like.
Right. Oh well.
I mean, we just saw Collins come back. Snell isn't back yet. Hunter is close.
Mm-hmm.
But
if we
Reddish,
can get
who's
Hunter,
been out the longest, is still the furthest away.
Right. If we can get Hunter, after these next 3 games, then my optimism will go up. Because we still have John Collins and we still have Clint. So, and Bogey, I mean, he's been 21 points per game in the month of April. So, if he can keep it that clip, because he's going to be the feature scorer now.
Where's Gallo been?
Yeah, where is he? I don't know where the hell Gallo is doing. Since that he had like
that knee-to-knee thing, remember?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he should be back by Monday, maybe.
Yeah, he should be back soon.
Okay, so maybe my worry, y'all talked me off the ledge. I'm a little less worried.
The only reason I'm worried is because Brandon Goodwin is going to have to play a lot of minutes. That's the only thing that worries me.
Yeah, man, he's terrible. Yeah, what happened to Skyler? Like, he looked good for like 2 games, and then
I mean, it's the same thing that happened to Nathan Knight.
Yeah, he looked good for 2 games, and then people were like, "Yeah, this guy's a G League guy. Like, stop letting him score like that." So then, just the last question to this segment: what potential, if we do happen to fall to that 7 seed, what potential playing team do you not want to see the most?
What play-in team?
Yeah, like what team in that 7 through 10 would you least want to have to, match up?
I got the standings right here. So as it stands right now, Heat are 7, Hornets are 8, Pacers are 9, Wizards are 10. I think the answer is pretty obvious. What is the play-in? It's gonna be 7 through 10.
Yeah. So seven has to. Seven would have to lose twice to not make the playoffs.
So if we fall out, I would assume the Heat move up. So let's take them out of that equation there.
Charlotte's going to keep falling probably. To me, the answer is pretty obvious too. But
I think, I don't see the Wizards continuing this pace and staying at 10. I think.
Well, I'll just say it now then. To me, the Wizards were the one who I don't want to see.
Yeah, without Trae, for sure. I mean, honestly,
or even with Trae, I just don't want to.
Bradley
the
Beal.
Wizards are 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to have to face a heated Westbrook and a motivated Beal in a play-in game.
I'd play Westbrook though. I just started getting his head. Leave him open.
Yeah, honestly, just double Beal.
Yeah. Look, triple team Beal and just Russ got the ball. Leave him open.
Box and
do what the Lakers did. Self check.
And he'll shoot just to prove you wrong and brick.
Okay, cool. So that is it for the layup, aka the finger roll, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint. And I'll pass it on to you, Micah.
Hold on 1 second, Micah. Before you do, I'm gonna switch back over to my headphones. So.
All right.
Hands free. Properties. Hands free. All right, say something.
Hot dogs.
We're good.
Hey, hot dogs with Harry Carey here, bringing you the suicide squeeze. So
That should be how you do the intro every time.
All right. So recently, the former Black Rookie of the Year winners formed a panel. The panel consisted of Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins, Doc Gooden, Kyle Lewis, and Devin Williams. They in this panel discussion, they discussed Hank Aaron and other MLB legends like Bob Gibson and Lou Brock. They also, kind of talked about the state of the game. It was actually pretty good. It was a pretty good panel to watch. It was interesting, their different perspectives, the different style of players that all of them, they even talked about the whole Truist, the All-Star game, leaving Truist, and I forgot which one of them was from Atlanta. So he just said, he kind of voiced
Ryan Howard's from Atlanta, is he? No.
Kyle Lewis he went to Shiloh, so it was Kyle Lewis.
Yeah, Kyle Lewis, and he talked about being from Atlanta and some of his experiences, and he kind of expounded on that. But yeah, I mean, it was actually very interesting and listening to these guys discuss, like Hank Aaron. They discussed how, they were kind of never understood why Babe Ruth got so much reverence, but Hank Aaron was the home run king, and then people just don't talk about him quite like they talked about Babe Ruth. So I mean, it was actually pretty fun to listen to.
Where was that at? Was that on like YouTube or the MLB channel? Or
MLB posted it. I think Monday or Tuesday they posted it. So, but yeah, so let's go into some Braves news. So this past week, the Braves managed to win the Braves series, but at a very high cost.
Wait, what?
The Cubs series. Braves won. They won the series against the Cubs. They won the series against the Cubs at a very high cost, though. Ender Inciarte, Albies, Acuna, Drew Smiley, and Sean Newcomb all were plagued with injury during this, either during or just before the series. Fortunately, none of the injuries were really severe, but to lose that many players in one series, it's almost like bittersweet that you won the series. Acuna had a very scary injury, sliding back into first base and immediately reaching for his stomach, then sliding home, scores a run, and just kind of, you could tell he was hurting. Apparently it was a mild abdominal strain, so he's pretty much day to day. Also in other big news, MLB The Show just recently released on both PlayStation and Xbox. There's a Bleacher Report writer, Joel Reuter, went through and he listed the top 10 players on each team, and he listed the most overrated and underrated player, and the most the player with the most potential for franchise purposes. So our top 10 rated players were Freddie Free, Acuna, Albies, Ozuna, Soroka, Charlie Morton, Max Fried, Chris Martin, Will Smith, and Travis d'Arnaud. The player with the most potential was Tuki Toussaint, who's 69 overall, but he's got a potential, so he's a good piece to build around if you play the game. And
Only in the game.
Yeah. I mean, he's got good stuff. He just hasn't put it.
That's what they say about all these young guys.
Well, I mean, he just it's all. I think to me, it's all mental with him because it's he's got the stuff. Like he has nasty pitches, but it's putting it together mentally. So and then most overrated was Johan Camargo, which most of us could agree with that. Most underrated was good old Dansby Swanson.
Dansby, you say his name right.
Dansby Swanson. So this season we've been very up and down. The Braves have been very kind of up and down. Some days we show up and play great. Others we just look flat, and pitching's been inconsistent. So what would you suggest the Braves should do to kind of fix some of these glaring holes or just inconsistencies?
Marco, you want to go first or me?
I can't really say because I haven't really been, tuning in strongly. I don't know where the holes are. I just know it's pitching. And I know a lot of the stuff that we didn't do in the offseason, like trying to, spend big dollars to address some of our holes is sort of like, coming to plague us now. But I figured that we'd still be good enough, to be only marginally worse than we were last year. But I don't know. I will pass the buck to Ryan to tell us what is wrong with this team.
One, we got to get healthy with our starting pitching. Max Fried's got to come back healthy and get right, because whatever was happening with him those first 3 starts, that was not the ace that we saw last year. Ian Anderson's this last game looked like Ian Anderson of old. He looked a little shaky the first couple games, but he looks like he's trying to finally finding his rhythm. Got to have Soroka come back. Charlie Morton's got to be a stabilizing factor for this rotation. And then, got to find just some value as that at the 5th spot. We got Kyle Wright down there. We got, maybe Tukey. Bryce Wilson. Tukey maybe be able to come in there. Honestly, the way Nuke has looked, he could even be a starter again, but he's very valuable as a long reliever. But we got to find those middle relievers, because what we have right now is not going to get us far into the postseason. We're back to the point 2 years ago, to where when we handed over to the bullpen, it's just like, oh no, is this going to work out? You can't have Nate Green coming in there pitching. You can't rely on really anybody at this point to get you to Will Smith. Will Smith is being used far too often in positions where the guys in front of him gave up leads or, to tie it. And now Will Smith's just coming in to not lose the game.
Yeah.
Will Smith is a closer. He's not a middle reliever, even though, he operated as one for us last year. Losing Shane Green, losing
Melanson. Melanson.
Melanson, I'm not too worried about. I was never really big on him as a closer. He was just okay. He did a good job, but he's not like a, oh, Melanson's really going to, for sure going to come here and shut this game down. I never felt that way with Melanson. I was like, all right, he'll probably get it done, but there's a good chance he'll give up a 2-run bomb as well. When we had, what was his name? Mr.
Kimbrel?
Yeah, Kimbrel. Yeah, Kimbrel came in, you're like, all right, we're a couple 100-mile-per-hour pitches away from this game being over.
Yeah.
But we got to fix the bullpen. I mean, there was a reason we traded so much and spent so much the last year and the end of the season before that for bullpen guys. You've got a good offense. Like, you've got a team that's going to put up 4 or 5 runs pretty consistently. You got to be able to have a good defense, which is your bullpen, to save that lead and really get you out of there. Even though we do have a good fielding team, you got to keep the ball in the park.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Bullpen is one of huge glaring weaknesses. Start with pitching in general, because like you said, we haven't had a lot of consistency from the starters, but I think the starters are good enough that once they start to get in a rhythm, then like, and once they start getting healthy and getting back used to pitching, because that was one thing during spring training, a lot of the guys like Bryce Wilson, Huascar, Enoa, those are the guys. Those are the guys who got a lot of the innings during spring training. A lot of like the Freeds and those guys were getting rested. So yeah, it's like almost like they got to knock the rust off, and it's taking a few starts for them to do it.
I've heard that Freed, his struggles are because he got advice on starting to pitch to contact. Is that true?
Oh God, I hope not. He's not a.
I hope not, but I mean, it would. I think somebody probably told him it probably helped save his arm a little bit. Trying to get people to hit the ground out and fly out, and but yeah, it's still. I don't necessarily agree with that method. If you're strikeout artists, don't worry about trying to change your whole game to save your arm a little bit. That'd be like Rick Vaughn from Major League, just like, I throw nothing but curveballs now. I'm all breaking balls. But yeah, but like the bullpen concerns me. And another thing that it's gotten a little bit better, but the situational hitting, it bothers me. Like I said, runners in scoring position, the fundamentally just, knowing where to hit the ball, just put the bat on the ball. I still see strikeouts, like, 3 straight swing and misses when, with runners in scoring position. It's like, bruh, the last thing all you had to do, put the ball in play, get the runner over. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, those are some of the things that still concern me.
Yeah, our on base percentage is way too high for the amount of runs that we're not scoring.
An update here. Chris Martin, he began throwing, but not off the mound yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Soroka, after his setback, has not begun throwing yet. So,
yeah, like a shoulder setback.
Yeah, he had something popped up to where they shut him down.
Yeah. But we got a few things like Shane Green is still a free agent. The thing is, will Liberty Media allow this Braves team to spend the money they need to fix the problems?
No.
Like Mike Bell on 92.9 always says that, the Braves are a line item for Liberty Media. They don't see them as a baseball team. They're not seeing them as like, oh, they got a deficit in the bullpen, we need to spend there. It's just like, all right, we've allotted $140 million for the Braves this year. We're going to spend $140 million. Oh, you've already spent your $140 million?
Yeah.
Oh, well. I mean, and really it's not 140, it's like 103. Like we're a very successful team and really a big market team for players, but we're not a big market.
Well, I think part of the thing is the only reason we're able to have a lot of the talent we do is because, like you said, they made that deal for Albies and Acuna, and you locked up 2 of your best players long term for a fraction of what they truly could have gotten if they had just waited the arbitration and got the big money. So yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, like you said, Liberty Media is just like, yeah, we've allocated this much. We can't go above it. We can't go below it. I mean, well, you can go below it, but you can't go above it. And it's like, it's some of the same reasons. What was Billy Bean? Was it Billy Bean?
Talking about the
from Moneyball.
Moneyball. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of the same reasons he created Moneyball because he had to find a way to build a competitive team with the strict cap that the owners gave him, and there was very little flexibility on cap, and they weren't willing to work with them. It's like, I can't go more than such this number. So
as an interesting tidbit here, so the highest payroll in the major leagues is obviously the Dodgers for their 26-man roster. It's $211 million. The league average is $98 million.
God damn.
The Braves are the number. So league average falls between 15 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
The Braves are the 15th highest.
Yeah.
At $104 million.
Wow.
So
yes.
The Minnesota Twins, the Chicago White Sox, what are there? Some small teams? The San Francisco Giants, the Nationals, the Cardinals, and the Padres are no longer a small market team. They're always spending now, but we're $10 million higher than the Cincinnati Reds.
Mm-hmm.
That's
There's no dedication to winning from Liberty Media.
Well, I think it's still true, but I remember growing up, and I remember when Liberty bought the Braves. Everyone kind of just threw their hands up and they were like, "Oh well, we're never going to win a World Series now because a team owned by a corporation has never won." Mm-hmm. It's just how it is. They don't pay. Like when you have these individual owners out there, like, okay, I'm gonna pay. Like I own a team because I want to own a team and I want to win. They're gonna spend what it takes.
Like Steinbrenner.
Yeah, like exactly like Steinbrenner back in the day. Like now the Yankees are trying to reel it back in and they're stuck with that Giancarlo Stanton contract. It's really screwing them over. But Liberty Media, again, we're a line item for that company. And that they're not trying to spend more because winning doesn't do anything for them. Even though going to the World Series and winning one would bring in more money, but
in their opinion, they have to share that money, so it's not really.
Plus COVID has kind of restricted the fan base on what you can bring in revenue off ticket sales and stuff like that. It's like it's really not much benefit.
I mean, they showed these patterns. I mean, I guess you can give them a pass for COVID just because obviously it's going to hurt their bottom line, not being able to fill up, the ballpark. But at the same time, they've had these habits since when they buy them. I mean, for the last, at least, how long have they owned them?
Liberty? Probably close to 10 years now.
Yeah.
Right. And I know for, the better part of that, they have not been willing to spend anything. Whereas, Ted had us in the World Series mix
15 years ago.
15
years ago.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I mean, but it's not a new narrative. It's just, we have to, despite that, and I think we're still competitive with our current build simply because we have Acuna, we have Freeman. You know what I mean? And once our pitching staff gets healthy, I think we'll be right back in the mix again. It's just that, that getting over the hump, like with the Dodgers when they signed Mookie, or even with the Mets, they signed Lindor, like moves like that. It's like you just need those intangible pieces sometimes, and I don't know.
I'm gonna ask y'all a question and see if y'all can get it right. So keep in mind the roster is 26 man. What do you think the lowest paid, or who do you think the lowest paid team is And what do you think their 26-man roster cost? Now, keep in mind the league average is $98 million. The highest is $211.
I'll say the A's or the Mariners.
Okay, that's your guess.
And
what do you think their salary is?
$78 million.
Micah?
I'll say I want to say either the A's or what's another like really shit. Yeah, I'll go A's.
All right, so
and I'll say like 40, 45.
So the A's are 21st with $67 million.
Good.
The lowest salary in the league are the Baltimore Orioles
Oh my God!
at $22 million.
Good God.
They're paying less than $1 million a player.
That's a joke.
There is a $190 million gap between first and last place.
Oh my God!
There has to be a salary cap in baseball.
How do the Orioles win games?
They don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they dumped all like Chris Davis and all these guys that they had with talent. They just dumped them.
They're actually
so
8 and 10,
going up,
though.
Going up from there. So who 1 through 5 of the lowest? What are they?
Let's see. Bring that tab back up. Where'd it go? So Baltimore is dead last with $22 million. The Marlins are second to last, which doesn't surprise anybody if anybody knows anything about the history of the Marlins. Is they don't like paying for their players.
All right.
Jeter.
Yeah, at $38 million. Then the Pirates at $39 million. Detroit at $46, and then the Cleveland baseball team at $48 million. Are they still? Didn't they change their name?
Yeah, I think they did, but I haven't seen.
I don't know what they made the mascot.
Because they're still listed as the Indians on here. That's why I was like, I didn't think this was right. Oh, did y'all hear that the Washington Football Club is close to picking a name?
Was it the Americans?
No, they put out names. I'll pull it up.
The Washington Sentinels, just like in the replacements.
They put out. We could do this as like it's fine. So their names that they have up are the Monarchs, the Warriors, the Rising, the Red Wolves, the Commanders, Ambassadors, Aviators, Renegades, Wayfarers.
Oh my God.
Presidents, Swifts.
Ew.
The Washington Swifts.
That's terrible.
Rubies, Wild Hogs. I'll say the Pilots, Riders, Armada, the Griffins.
The Griffins.
The Washington, D.C. Football Club, or the Washington Capital City Football Club.
Out of those, I like Pilots and Warriors.
I kind of like the Commanders, I guess. Or, I mean, the Wild Hogs would make sense because of their fans.
It just doesn't sound good, though.
Yeah, their fan base, the Hogs.
Yeah. That just doesn't sound good.
The Washington Wild Hogs.
We got the Wild Hogs coming into town.
The Wild Hogs.
That sounds like a college team.
Yeah,
no?
you honestly can't give a team a two-word name. It just doesn't.
I'd have said like the Aviators or something.
I mean, I guess it would just be like the Hogs. The Hogs coming into town.
Right.
Because just like you say, the Seahawks, the Hawks coming into town. But I don't know. Yeah, I like Pilots probably the best. Warriors is a little generic, but it sounds good. I still like Natives. That's still my favorite one.
The Washington Natives.
Yeah.
But there's no real tie there to the DC. Yeah, I guess it is. Not too far off.
I mean, they were Redskins for the God's sake.
Well, I mean, yeah. That would just be a reminder of what they came from, though. It was a long episode, gentlemen.
Yeah.
That was technically the lightning round, right? What's your
might as well.
Yeah.
That was 4 hours. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, no, it was 3 hours and 35 minutes because remember we didn't start until like 8:15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we started and then had to stop. But hopefully I can get this internet figured out because I don't know what was going on today. I rebooted the router. Maybe it's just because Bryce is over here streaming and doing all that.
Well, he didn't mess up. He didn't mess up past that one time. He didn't really mess up that much during the episode.
There was a couple times where I would look at y'all and you would freeze, but then you would come back on and be like, and catch back up. But
Kristaps Porzingis had a nasty looking rolled ankle.
Oh, well, he's done for the year.
Yeah,
a big man that rolls his ankle like that, he's done for a long time.
It looked really bad.
Well, that pretty much wraps up episode 50. We should be coming up here on our anniversary. I think next month, our 1-year anniversary is. I put it on my phone. I forget where it is, but I think it's like the second week of May. Let me pull this up here. Maybe we'll do something cool for that.
Pop bottles, get lit, have a litty episode.
It's May 11th is when our 1-year anniversary will be, which will put us right around 52-ish episodes. So that works. That works out about right. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for those of you that showed up in the chat. I know we don't typically air on Thursdays, but we appreciate y'all. Don't forget to, and if this is your first time tuning in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications so you know when we're going live. Hit that like button. It really helps us out. Don't be afraid to hop in the chat, leave some comments, or, talk to us on Instagram. We will gladly engage with you. But we appreciate each and every one of you guys. Coming up, Marco, I don't know if you saw this, but we have a special guest coming up here in, what day was that, Micah?
4th.
So, yeah, May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
It's gonna be May.
We will have Marcus Flowers on.
Dang.
Do you know who Marcus Flowers is, Marco?
I'm about to type it
in. You said, dang, okay, that's cool. Who is that?
Marcus Flowers for Georgia, Army vet.
Yeah, so he is a veteran, former Army NCO. He was a sergeant. He is a congressional candidate. He is running against Marjorie Taylor Greene for here in Georgia. It's a pretty big deal for us, honestly. We're having a active congressional candidate who is making national news come on our podcast. We get him for 30 minutes.
Nice.
So we will talk to him, ask him as many questions as we can, get as many answers out of him as we can.
Butter him up, get some favors.
Yeah, but hey, man, so when you are the congressman for Georgia, make sure you name us the state podcast, please. The Brown
Secretary podcast.
Right, like we have a state bird, we have a state fruit, state tree,
state flag.
State flag. Do you have a state podcast?
We'll do our best to get a state rap group. Outcast will be the state rap group.
Really, it should be. But so yeah, if you guys have any questions you want asked, go ahead and shoot us a message in the DMs on Instagram or anywhere. But we will get those questions up for you, and we will see you later. We appreciate y'all tuning in, but we're going to get out of here and get some rest because it is late. It is midnight. And we'll catch y'all later.
Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Peace.
And if you like fish and grits and all that sports shit, everybody let me hear you say, oh, yay.
Oh, yay.